specializing in tires to fit vehicles, from ATVs to large farm equipment and everything in between. At your tire store next door, you can find a plethora of brand name tires that range from 4 to 10 ply and much more. Our highly skilled technicians can handle brakes, heating, and air conditioning. Call us today at 224-8643 or visit us at GrahamTire.com. Graham Tire is a proud sponsor of Pierre and surrounding communities' local activities.
Pests don't wait, and neither should you. At Olson's Pest Technicians, we've been protecting homes and businesses for over 55 years. From bats in the attic to rodents in the walls, ants in the kitchen, termites underground, even swarms of mosquitoes. We've seen it all, and we handle it all. With expert technicians, ethical treatments, and service across South Dakota, Nebraska, and Iowa, you can count on Olson's to get the job done right. Contact us today at Olson's Pest Technicians. Family-owned, community-trusted.
Allied Plumbing and Heating is your contact for business, farm, commercial, and residential plumbing needs located in Pierre. No job is too big or too small. Allied Plumbing is Central South Dakota's premier plumbing and hydronics contractor. At Allied Plumbing and Heating, the only surprise we want for our customers is how fast we get the job done. That's why we offer free estimates on every single service and no hidden charges. Give Allied a call today at 605-494-2001. And remember, you can always rely on your allies.
Do you want to join one of the oldest established organizations in Fort Pierre? Perhaps you are more interested in protecting the future. Whatever your position, the Fort Pierre Volunteer Fire Department is for you. We are responsible for fire protection in Fort Pierre and Stanley County. Become part of this amazing team by stopping down at the fire hall and discussing enrollment. We are not just limited to adults, as we have a new cadet program for students ages 14 to 18. For more information, click on our banner ad on the homepage. From everyone at the fire hall, go Buffs!
What does it take to feed and fuel the world? To integrate a global ag and energy supply chain, serving farmers and advancing agriculture? What does it take to build communities, powering rural economies and empowering agriculture? It takes the nation's leading farmer-owned cooperative. It takes a co-op. It takes CHS.
Dakota Pro Air is a locally family-owned business that has been taking care of farmers' aerial needs since 2020. With locations in Letcher and Miller, Dakota Pro Air is able to provide service to a large area. Ground conditions too wet, or just don't want those sprayer tracks in your field? Give Dakota Pro Air a call for all your chemical and fertilizer application needs at 605-248-2314.
The innocence of youth. Is there anything any better? But soon they'll be in high school and facing all the same challenges you faced. How to make friends, how to fit in, how to be cool. We want our children to have everything they'll need to live fulfilling and productive lives. Make sure the kids in your family are among the more than 57,000 participants here in South Dakota who take part in high school sports or activities.
Have you ever wondered what the benefits are of becoming a Owyhee Federal Credit Union member? At Owyhee Federal Credit Union, we reinvest profits in you. We do this in the form of lower interest rates, higher dividends, and low to no fees. So come check us out or come in at 221 East Pleasant Drive in Pierre, because at Owyhee Federal Credit Union, we treat our members like they own the place because, well, they do.
Owyhee Federal Credit Union.
Bank West is rooted in South Dakota. Committed to local success. Just like you. We're all connected. In South Dakota. For South Dakota. Convenient, connected, committed. Bank West.
Generational success means different things to different people. But to us, it means seeing my daughter follow in my footsteps, keeping the farm in the family, just getting to do this every day. We're Agtegra Cooperative, and we're generationally successful. That's who we are. Agtegra Cooperative.
The Corner Station Convenience Store and the Crossing Pub are both conveniently located on Pleasant Drive in Pierre, South Dakota. At the Corner Station, grab your favorite hot and cold beverages and snacks while filling your vehicle up with Cenex brand gasoline. The Corner Station also features a super tunnel car wash to keep your vehicle sparkling clean. At the Crossing, grab a cold beverage and check out their selection of appetizers while watching the Stanley County Buffaloes and Pierre Governors live on their big screen televisions. Best of luck to all area students from the Corner Station and the Crossing.
What if we said a bank isn't a place to lock up money? It's a place to set it free. What if the point of banking wasn't to bank at all, but to put your ideas to work? What if your bank asked, what if, a little more? Well, what if we told you we do? We're American Bank and Trust, where what if meets why not? If you are ready to change what you get out of banking, start a relationship with us. What if you made the move today?
Do you have a new pair of jeans or a favorite shirt with a small tear or hole? Or your winter coat has a broken zipper? Don't throw them away. Call Lila Briggs Sewing and Embroidery in Fort Pierre to have your items fixed as good as new. They also provide hemming, other sewing services, as well as custom embroidery for a truly professional look and design. Lila Briggs Sewing and Embroidery is a proud supporter of all Stanley County school activities and wishes the student athletes the best of luck in the school year.
Each day brings the opportunity to make a difference, to follow through with integrity, to solve challenges through innovative thinking, and to bring the technical know-how needed to get the job done. At Wilbur Ellis, this is how we work, standing side by side as local experts who partner with the stewards of the land. We do it together. That's the power of we.
Agriculture is like no other business, which makes Farm Credit Services of America like no other lender. Owned by the farmers and ranchers we serve, our customers have a voice in how we work, a stake in what we do, and share in our success. Discover a lender that works for you at Farm Credit Services of America.
WindCircle, operating since 1995. We combine quality customer service and experience with the right technology to meet your needs. Our cybersecurity certified technicians will make sure your systems are secure. Services offered are video and data cabling, service and support contracts, cutting-edge camera systems to door security devices. WindCircle has many hardware options: Dell, HP, Cisco, SonicWall, and Ruckus, to name a few. Our staff has over 30 years of combined network design and cabling experience at your disposal. Call us today, 605-224-1111, and request a free quote. Again, that's 605-224-1111.
When life dents your day, trust Mark and the team that's been making things right for over 30 years. At Quality Body Shop, they're locally owned, honest, fair, and reliable. The kind of hometown service you can count on. From small scratches to major collision repairs, they treat every vehicle like it's their own, with quality workmanship and attention to detail. Quality Body Shop. Quality repairs from people you trust. Stop by or call today and see why generations of local drivers choose quality.
At Iverson Auto, our legacy is your trust. Whether you're in Mitchell or in Huron, we embody the values that have defined us for generations. We have been your partner on the road since 1948.
We bring decades of expertise to ensure your journey begins with confidence. Our goal is to turn your visit into a memorable experience, leaving you with a smile and peace of mind.
Iverson Auto of Mitchell and Huron are here to make your car buying experience smooth and enjoyable every step of the way.
Visit us online at iversonauto.com.
Riverview RV Park overlooks Lake Sharp on the Missouri River. They have all the amenities, from full hookups, laundry, showers, dog park, play area, and free Wi-Fi. There's no need to drive across the country. When here in central South Dakota, you can find some of the best fishing and the most spectacular sunrises and sunsets. Call us today at 605-280-6266 or reserve your next camping spot online at briggsrvpark.com. Make Riverview RV Park your home away from home experience.
The Best Western Ramkota Hotel in Rapid City supports all South Dakota student athletes and their families. They are conveniently located off Interstate 90, close to downtown and minutes from the beautiful Black Hills. The Ramkota offers sports and family-friendly rates. Guests can relax for free in the indoor water park. They have 36,000 square feet of banquet and meeting space, and the award-winning Minerva's Restaurant and Bar is located on site. Best Western Ramkota welcomes everyone to beautiful Rapid City, South Dakota.
When you're thinking of a new or used car, motorcycle, pickup, or RV, think of us. We make all sorts of vehicle loans. We can set you up with payments that fit your budget. So if you have getting some new wheels in mind, stop by and see us. We'll get you the right loan. Dakota Plains Federal Credit Union, federally insured by NCUA. We're big on you.
We're small enough to know your name, but we're big on you.
This is what matters. This is beyond X's and O's. This is the difference mutual respect makes. This is what character looks like. This is what defines us in South Dakota. This is sportsmanship. School sports. It's not the outcome that matters most, but the way the games are played. This message presented by the South Dakota High School Activities Association and the South Dakota Interscholastic Athletic Administrators Association.
It's a particular kind of joy when people come together. It's really nothing like it. And isn't it amazing, in that magic moment, how all the distance between us, all the obstacles, just disappear? Wherever, whenever, however. Connecting you to what matters most.
Hey folks.
The following is a presentation of DRG Media Group Sports. The following is a presentation of DRG Media Group Sports.
Rolling out to his right, looking downfield, got a man in the back of the end zone. He fires, it's caught, it's a Buffalo touchdown. Buffalo's breaking pressure. Joe Mall coming off the edge. He's got him. It's a sack. It's a turnover on downs for the Buffalo defense. One final chance here for the Buffaloes. Bame in the backfield takes the handoff right side. Dives, stretches, scores. Buffaloes win. I'll tell you, those Buffalo boys have had a flair for the dramatic all year long, and they've got us on the edge of our seats again.
And now to the broadcast booth with the pregame show. Here's the voice of the Stanley County Buffaloes, Justin Cowart.
At long last, the work week has given way to Friday, and as fall slowly seeps in here to Central South Dakota football season, and Friday night lights have come barreling back in full swing here on KGFX. And for the first time here in 2026, the Buffaloes are back at home on the beautiful new turf of the Ole Williamson Field. Tonight, two teams in search of their first victory in this early stretch of the season will clash as Stanley County welcomes in the Hill City Rangers for a 9AA Week 2 matchup. Week 1 was not forgiving to these two teams as both faced off with top teams in the classification. The Rangers of Hill City falling to a potent Parkston team by a final score of 54-24. And head coach of the Rangers, Brent Eckert, will be the first to tell you his team's performance was not indicative of who he wants to see them become here in 2026. On the other side of the sideline, the Buffaloes, they would fall 48-0 to a program many have pegged to be playing in the final game of the season in the Dakota Dome in Bonham, who features a three-headed monster out of the backfield that gave Stanley County a steady dose of power, precision, and a lot of points. However, Buffalo's head coach Max Foth, who feels like his boys showed a lot of grit and toughness, He expects them to carry that over to tonight's highly anticipated matchup between the Stanley County Buffaloes and the Hill City Rangers. Hello, everybody. Justin Cowart welcoming you into the broadcast booth and into the Bank West pregame show here on a picture-perfect Friday night in Fort Pierre. Both ball clubs down on the field, getting themselves loosened up under some gray clouds, non-threatening with some sunlight peeking out behind as it makes its way west, and the lights will come on and flood Ole Williamson Field here for two teams, like we said, in search of that first victory. Both teams wanting to build off of some success that they felt like they found last week and carry that over here to tonight, which is going to be a tough test for both. Two teams that look a little bit different than when the last time these two faced. Of course, it was an early matchup last year between Hill City and Stanley County to start the season in a game that was not indicative of how it was played in the final score. 72-32, the final on our Wegner Auto scoreboard a year ago. However, when you look at that game and really dissect it, break it down, Stanley County did have a lot of production on offense. They also were able to hold their own for the most part on defense. Hill City just struck at the right times. They found themselves in some fourth and long situations that they were able to convert, including towards the end of that first half, which really gave them the momentum going into the halftime and into that second half of play. And, Stanley County just kind of fell victim to a lot of speed and a lot of skill from the Hill City Rangers on their offense that has been featured for the past couple of years that we'll see again tonight. However, a lot of those skill guys from a year ago have graduated and moved on for Hill City. It's time for some new names to make their stake here with the Rangers. And the same is true for Stanley County. They've got a new quarterback in Bryant Zabe calling the shots. They're featuring a couple guys that are playing some meaningful football for the first time in their careers. And Stanley County head coach Max Foth feels like they have taken some huge steps of progression that we will see and hopefully experience here tonight. Of course, a lot of folks making their way out. Buff Nation tailgate taking place down out front before the game today. A lot of folks getting involved with Buff Nation. Great to see. And for those of you still making your way out here to Fort Pierre, whether you're coming from across the bridge or coming all the way from near Rapid City, the South Dakota Office of Highway Safety reminds you no text is worth a wreck. Put the phone down. As we look back to last week for both of these teams, a lot of those points for Hill City were scored in the second half of that ball game. However, you got to look at the opponents that these two played. Parkston, again, making their case for one of the top teams in the class. Bottom, as we mentioned, is kind of penciled in a lot of the media polls books to be playing in the Dakota Dome at the end of the year. They have a very strong run game, and an undersized Stanley County defense held their own for what they could. It was 15-0 at the end of the first quarter, and like you'll hear from Stanley County head coach Max Foth in our keys to success, he was pretty adamant that, you know what, if we had done some things differently, if we had cleaned up some of the mistakes, it wouldn't necessarily have resulted in a win, but it would have looked a little bit different in the outcome. And we always say it, that biggest leap of progress for football teams is usually made between week 1 and week 2, and we expect to see that here tonight. We got a lot to get to here in our pregame show. We talked to both coaches this week in a production call about what they wanted to see out of their teams here tonight, including what they looked at last week that they could improve on. We'll hear from Max Foth here in a couple of moments. But as we mentioned, let's go back to last week a little bit. We talked about the Parkston and Hill City matchup. For Stanley County and Bonham, as we said a little bit earlier in our intro, Bonham has a lot of size, and they are kind of have a couple bowling balls out of the backfield that are tough to tackle in Stanley County with Joe Malm and Carson Bourne on the outside edge at linebacker. Well, they were fitting their gaps. They were aggressive. Max Foth loved to see how guys were coming up and hitting, but when 160 meets 225 over and over and over again, 225 starts to wear down on you, and that's what happened. It was an explosive second quarter for Bonham. They would stretch out their lead to 48-0 and go on to win in 4 quarters by that final score. Now, tonight, Stanley County, their first home game here in 2026, and this is a game I think going into the season, a lot of folks said, Yeah, you can probably expect Hill City to put up a lot of points, but Stanley County expecting that is going to try to bring a potent offense of their own. We're going to see a lot of different looks offensively. We'll see some pretty steady action from Hill City on the offensive side of the football. They'll stay pretty tried and true to what they normally do. That's a lot of speed option, a lot of outside work. And Stanley County, they want to do the opposite. They want to throw different looks at this Rangers defense in different parts of the field. In between the 35 and the 15, you'll see a certain look. Then once Max Foth gets the ball closer to midfield, he might switch up the offense. It's uniquely simplified, but also very complicated because you can run so many different looks and so many different play styles out of the Stanley County offensive setup. So we're going to get to see a lot of that tonight. Very much looking forward to it. Energy in the building is unmatched, and we are getting closer and closer to our kickoff, which is about 15 minutes away. We'll take our first break. When we come back, we'll preview this game a little bit more. We'll talk to Max Foth, Stanley County head coach, for our Buff Nation Keys to Success. We'll meet our starting lineups, meet our officials, talk some X's and O's, and get this one underway. It's a beautiful Friday night for some football. Thrilled to have you with us on the Bank West pregame show here on KGFX. And we also want to mention, if you are curious about the stream, if you have found the stream, if you're outside of the listening area of KGFX and want to watch this game live, you can go to drgnews.com, go to the KGFX station page, and if you just scroll down once, you'll see the stream right there. It is on YouTube. It is working. I know there was some confusion about going to Live Tickets website. Go to drgnews.com, go to the KGFX station page, and you'll find the game on a short scroll down there. And if you have made your way to the stream, and there are some folks still figuring out how to get there, if you could pass that message along. We want to have as many folks tuned in here tonight from both sides of the coin between Stanley County and Hill City. As we said, we'll take our first break. When we come back, more from the Bank West pregame show right here on KGFX and streaming live on drgnews.com.
From the early days of South Dakota statehood through today's digital revolution, BankWest has remained committed to helping customers and communities succeed. BankWest Associates uphold this commitment by developing innovative products, tailoring financial solutions to customer needs, and actively supporting community causes. For a bank committed to helping you and your community prosper, choose BankWest. BankWest, convenient, connected, committed. Member FDIC.
There's an app for everything, including high school sports, from the stations of DRG Media Group. Download the DRG News app from the App Store or Google Play. It takes only a moment, so you'll have it in time for this game. See live and archive video of all games. And when you select your favorite station during the live stream, the video will immediately pop up. See Central South Dakota high school sports on your phone or mobile device with the DRG News app. Download it now from the App Store or Google Play. Access Health Fort Pierre welcomes new and established patients, offering chronic and acute care for all ages, including evaluations for illness and injuries, immunizations, lab testing, wellness exams, and DOT and sports visits. Same-day appointments are available, and most major insurances are accepted. Good luck this season, athletes, from Access Health Fort Pierre, assuring access to quality health care.
A new school year is here, and there's nothing better than seeing the halls of Stanley County schools filled with students, teachers, and school spirit. Welcome back, Buffs, and welcome back, staff. The Stanley County Booster Club is proud to support the Stanley County schools and students, and they invite you to be a part of it. Parents, grandparents, and community members. Join them in making this a great school year. Follow them on Facebook, or they meet the first Monday of each month, 6 p.m. at the Senior Center. Stanley County Booster Club, proud to be SC.
Welcome back into the Bank West pregame show, getting set to go here in about a little over 10 minutes. I'm Justin Cowart. Welcome you back on KGFX and here live on drgnews.com at the KGFX station page. What a setting for some high school football tonight as the extended bleachers in use for the first time. If you're familiar with the new setup here at Ole Williamson Field, gorgeous new turf that was installed early in the season last year. It was quite the bottle breaking, if you will, for Stanley County. It was an absolute downpour. That game that they were playing against Parkston didn't get underway until about 8:45, but they got it in. It was a rain-soaked night. Stark difference from what we have here this evening, and we're thrilled to have that. Both teams down on either goal line awaiting the national anthem, which will be coming up here in a moment. As we mentioned, both of these teams looking for a turnaround after a tough start. 54-24 loss for Hill City in week one, 48-0 loss for Stanley County against Bonham. After these two teams face off this week, Stanley County will go to Bennett County on September 4th. Then it'll be at Lee Deadwood before coming home on the 25th after a bye week to take on Parkston. They will be at Gregory before they come home for their final two games against Platte Geddes and Kimball White Lake. It is a stout schedule, to say the least, for Stanley County, so wins are going to come at a premium. Max Foth believes if his team can find a win here tonight, they may be able to use that, and certainly will use that as a jumping off point. But you look at Bennett County, who took Wall to the edge, 40-32 the final score there. Lee Deadwood is taking on Wall tonight, and we'll get into more of those games coming up on the schedule. It'll be New Underwood next week for Hill City, and then Timberlake and Lemon McIntosh back-to-back on the road before Hill City takes on Bennett County and Harding County, and we'll close out the season at home against Lee Deadwood. As we mentioned, we got to talk to head coach Max Foth of the Stanley County Buffaloes, and it is our Buff Nation Keys to Success segment. Before we talk to Max Foth, here's a word from our friends that sponsor our Keys to Success, our friends at Buff Nation.
Buff Nation is proud to support and serve area athletics and the Stanley County Buffaloes this season. Buff Nation never stops giving back, and you can become a valued member today with memberships starting at $30. Membership fees include Buff Nation decals, discounted ticketing to events, free concession stand items, and so much more. If you are interested in becoming a member of Buff Nation, please contact Tate Gabriel at 605-222-5537.
Thanks to Buff Nation for sponsoring our Keys to Success. And without further ado, Stanley County head coach Max Foth. Coach, first home game of the season. I know a lot of folks are excited. I know the boys are so excited they're leaving their cleats in the street. But, you know, we were talking about last week and how there was some good when you turned on the film. We talked about the aggressiveness. We talked about some of the younger guys stepping up. When you showed the film to your players, did they see the good in that? And did that confidence carry over to this week's practice?
Yeah, I think so. It's such a fickle game that, you know, we were so close on so many different things to that being a different outcome. Not saying we win the game by any means, but the score is certainly a lot closer and we feel a little bit better for it. So I think the guys did a great job in film of understanding how close we are on a couple different things. And I think they're real excited to play tonight.
And we talked about the physicality last week. That is one of the best backfields in this classification against Bonham, but your guys played physical football. They filled gaps soundly. Carson Bourne was one of those guys who hadn't played any football before this season. How did you feel like he stepped up last week, and how is that going to carry over to this week and throughout the season?
Yeah, I think Carson did a great job. You know, when us coaches were talking about it, for him to go as eighth grade football player, being his last football game, to starting as a sophomore, it was really impressive how quickly he picked things up, and he's starting to fly around at practice and make a ton of plays. We look for him to have a big night tonight.
And Brian Zabe, his first senior start as a quarterback last week behind the, under center, behind the gun. We talked on the phone earlier this week. He was decisive in some of his throws. You liked his confidence. Of course, there's some things that you wanted him to work on. How was his week of practice, and how proud are you of him for really fitting into that quarterback mold you've been looking for the past couple of seasons?
Yeah, he's doing a great job. You know, like we said, he's making decisions and he's sticking by them. He's not predetermining where he wants to go with the football. He's letting the defense dictate that and taking what's available and really playing really tough. You know, there was a couple times last week we had some breakdowns in protection and he made some plays and still kept his eyes downfield, which is exactly what you want as a coach. And I look for him to have a big night tonight. You know, hopefully we can get him protected a little bit better and he could really expose some things on the back end.
Coach, last year, this Hill City team was able to use some of their athleticism, some of their skill players and speed to exploit some holes in the defense. And we've talked about this plenty. Last year, it was a close one-score ball game all the way up to the half. They converted on some fourth and longs, and then they just took advantage of that in the second half. But it's a different Hill City team this year. How do you guys take advantage of some of that youth on the other side of the ball with some new players and some new positions over there, and you being able to use some of your skill guys to exploit some holes in their defense?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, they're well coached. Their scheme is sound. They do a great job of really having their own identity and being who they are. And we just got to match that with physicality. I think our physicality and speed on the defensive side, playing the opponent that we played week one, you know, we kind of see where the bar needs to be, and hopefully we can get a little bit closer to that this week and really take the fight to them, you know, so to speak. Don't give our young guys time to read and react. We want them to go play and play downhill and go make plays and have a lot of fun out there.
Thanks so much, Coach. Best of luck.
Thank you.
And you heard in there, so excited they're leaving their cleats behind. It was a pretty funny moment. Crossing the street, headed over to the elementary gym where the guys were going to go through one final walkthrough. I was running over to get my interview with Max Foth, and, well, I found a stray spare tire of a freshman who lost his cleat there in the road, and I told him, I said, you're going to make the pregame show tonight, so congratulations to John Bose for being the Freshman of the Week awarded to him by Coach Max Foth. Now back to some more X's and O's. You heard Max Foth talk about how he wants his defense to not read and react, and that's kind of counterintuitive of what you'll hear from a lot of coaches when they're talking about their defensive game plan. He said, I want these guys to play with their hair on fire. When they see something happen, I want them to attack. I don't even want them to read. I just want them to trust their instincts, play downhill. And from last week to this week, it is a complete 180 turn of how he wants his defense. They were trying to force everything outside last week, trying not to let those A-gaps get exposed with the large size of the Bonham Cavaliers. For Hill City, Max Foth wants everything pushing inside now. He doesn't want them to be able to use this space that they were so able to take advantage of last year. He wants everything funneled back to the middle of the field and let his defensive linemen, let some of those linebackers make plays, and let Jack Deal be the lowest level tackler on this game on the stat sheet here tonight. For Hill City on defense, Brett Eckert wants one thing and one thing only. He wants his team to cause chaos. He wants 7 helmets around the football, and he wants it to feel like there's 12 helmets around the football. So expect for both of these defenses to be flying around and making some plays here this evening. We are very excited to see that. So with that, let's introduce you to our starting lineups here tonight. On the offensive side, Hill City will be led by Mason Bueller, a junior who is one of the team's captains, who will be making his way out to midfield here in a moment, alongside Alan Harvey, who will be in the backfield with Bueller. Colin Jobjan will be one of the 4 wide receivers lined up on the outside here today. He's a junior, along with Colt Eckert, another junior wide receiver. And 2 seniors on the outside tonight for the offensive Hill City. It'll be Brody Moriarty and Braylon Ron. Up front on the offensive line, Corey Ronish, Carson Kolb, and Drew Almer. Kolb and Almer, 2 of the team's captains as well. On the defensive side for Stanley County, a little bit of movement. Jace Hand moving from his defensive end position to the inside linebacker spot. They'll move Safe Cronin over half a gap over to the nose tackle spot. Jacob Meyer, a junior, will be up front alongside Jax Hofteaser. Cronin and Hofteaser, 2 sophomores, alongside Hand and Meyer, who are 2 juniors. Also assisting Jace Hand at the linebacker position tonight, we mentioned him, Joe Malm and Carson Bourne. Ryder Roseland will be getting some snaps on defense on the linebacker spot, as will Whit Myers, and over the top, it'll be Jack Deal hawking down some passes and, like we said, hopefully not making too many tackles for the Stanley County cause. Some of the captains making their way out to midfield. Drew Almer, Carson Kolb, and Mason Bueller shaking hands with a couple Stanley County captains. Joe Malm out there alongside Brian Zabe. He is standing right next to Jace Hand and Whit Myers, the 4 captains for Stanley County. Buffaloes are in their home purples, Hill City in their road whites. The white helmets for Stanley County with the buffalo plastered on either side and yellow face masks. Numbers are in white outlined in Stanley County gold, and the gray bottoms tonight for the Buffaloes. The coin has been flipped, so let's see who's going to be getting the ball first. It looked like Hill City won the toss, and I didn't get to see the signal. They have elected to receive, so Hill City will be on offense first as they jog back to their sideline with the white jerseys, green bottoms, numerals in green, outlined in a light shade of gold. The yellow helmets have the Rangers logo on either side. Stanley County set up here on the near sideline, Hill City on the far sideline. Let's introduce you to our officials. Before we do that, a word from the South Dakota Attorney General's Office, Division of Consumer Protection.
Summer's coming to an end. Time to start looking for a warm trip this winter. Things I need to keep in mind before I book. I need to check the reviews. I need to look at their cancellation policies. Does it make any sense to purchase travel insurance for this trip? I also need to keep my receipts and communication with my travel confirmations. And lastly, I need to make sure that I'm on a true travel website before I book. If you have any questions, contact the South Dakota Office of Attorney General's Consumer Protection Division at 800-300-1986.
And our officials today are led by Royce Wurtzer. He's the white hat alongside Lyle Tolsma, Joe Beeler, Alan Schmaltz, and Shane Gottlieb. Stanley County teeing it up to kick it from right to left. Carson Bourne doing the kicking, Hill City receiving, and will be attacking from left to right. Mason Bueller and Alan Harvey standing on the 20 back to receive. Bourne is ready. He's got it teed up straight, unlike last week when it was sitting sideways. As Bourne approaches, he boots a low-line drive, and we're underway. Played on a couple hops by Mason Bueller, tracking across the 30. Finds a little bit of gap, and he's across midfield. It's a foot race now as Mason Bueller takes the opening kickoff 75 yards. And 12 seconds in, Hill City comes on the road and strikes first. It's 6-0 Rangers off the opening kickoff. Mason Bueller, who we expected to do it all from his quarterback position, finds a little gap in the special teams unit and goes coast to coast. And with that, they are on our Wegner Auto scoreboard first. That is a gut punch to Stanley County's cause, but we will get to see our first glimpse of Logan Street, who has turned a lot of heads here quickly in 2026, who's on to kick this extra point. Street, a junior with a NFL-type leg, man. He is quite the booter. We'll get into some of his accolades as Hill City trots out one of their final offensive linemen. Jesse Ortiz fills in his spot. Extra point is up, and the extra point is good. It's 7-0 Rangers, and that is going to be certainly a little bit of adversity that Max Foth will have to see through with his team. 75 yards officially on the kick return for the touchdown. And I have to imagine that Carson Bourne might be trying to kick it over to number 3, Alan Harvey. Not that that's much better on the next kick, but you see what Mason Bueller can do, and I'm sure the defensive coaching staff is going to be thinking about that in the back of their mind when Hill City's offense comes back onto the field inevitably here in the first quarter. So, Deja Vu will kick it off again, though this time Stanley County will be receiving, and Logan Street will be kicking away for Hill City. This kid's leg has kind of traveled all across the state, booted a 49-yarder last week on grass, which is amazing. And talking to Coach Brett Eckert this week, he said, you know how South Dakota grass is on these football fields? It's 4 inches thick, and he still booted it. And I asked him, I said, at what point do you start thinking about Logan Street? And he said, when we cross the 50, I tell Street to start getting loosened up. Street's right foot boots it high up into the shady blue sky, and a fair catch is, no, not a fair catch. They're going to take this one out. Thought he waved the right arm, but instead taking it out to about the 39-yard line. Jack Deal on the return for Stanley County coming near side, who's attacking from right to left. 7-0 Rangers, 12 seconds in after their touchdown came on the kick return by Mason Bueller. We have a little laundry on the field, and we get to hear from Royce Wurtzer a lot earlier than I think we intended to. He's going to come over and talk to head coach Max Foth, so you imagine this will be on Hill City and how you want to address it. And interesting that Logan Street opted to kick it to Jack Deal, because Street has the ability and has the boot to kick it out of the back of the end zone. And this will be a penalty against the Rangers. And that'll be an extra 5 yards. So the drive will start for Stanley County on the left hash at the 34-yard line. Bryant Zabe sporting a soft cast on the left hand. That injury came about Sunday night. At least that's when the coaches found out about it. Joe Mallman motion from right to left, faking the jet sweep and taking it himself is Bryant Zabe, and he somersaults forward across the 43. And it'll be marked down just short of that. 42.5-yard line. Great gain on first down. Will bring second down and 2. Officially 8 yards
And the ball to the middle of the field. And this is where we get to see some of those different looks from the Stanley County offense. They'll bring a man in motion from right to left. Zabe in the shotgun, takes the snap, looking right, firing this way, just a bit too high for his intended target, Carson Bourne. And you can expect Carson Bourne's name to be called quite a bit here in the first half if everything moves the way that Max Foth wants it to. Carson Bourne breaking into this offense. Stands at 6'1", 165. He can lay the wood, but he can also run some great routes. Foth wants to see at least 6 catches from Carson Bourne here in this first half. That would have been number 1, but it was too high, so now it brings up 3rd and 2. Option to the right side. Zabe keeps it the whole way. Gets to the 45 and will be able to move the chains, but the ball came free. It's a fumble, and Hill City looks like they've jumped on top of it. We'll see if they marked him down. His forward progress was stopped, and they're going to say 4th down. That's not a generous spot from the officials. He certainly got the ball to the 45. They're going to place it down, and now after some discussion, they rightfully move the chains. And they'll say on that stripped ball, forward progress was stopped, so the Buffaloes get a break. It's 1st and 10 at the 46 on their side of the field. You allow the opening kickoff to go for 6, and then you fumble on a 3rd and 2 and give it right back to Hill City. That would have been a nightmare start for Foth. Fortunately for him, they stay with the ball. Zabe with 3 receivers off to his left and a man in the slot that way as well. Ball on the right hash. Quick toss on the bubble screen here near side through the hands of Jack Deal, and he had a little bit of room to work. So some early mistakes being made here by Stanley County. I think it's better that they happen early rather than late if this game is as expected to be close. Maybe some nerves playing in front of a huge home crowd. New stands just about all packed out. It's standing room only here off to the left where the concession stand is also jam-packed. Great crowd here on hand on a beautiful Friday night. 10:26 to play first quarter. 2nd down and 10 after the incompletion. Zabe in the shotgun, got 2 receivers right, 1 left. Whit Myers standing to his right. They'll throw it back here near side for Carson Bourne. Gets a block across the 50. Bourne across the 45. Dancing through tacklers is twirled down past the 40. And inside Hill City territory go the Buffaloes. There's catch 1 of 6 that Foth wants to see from Bourne. He's marked down at the 37. And it moves the chains. That's a really nifty little play. Again, everybody on the defensive side thinking the ball's going to the right. Then Zabe puts his foot in the ground, turns back, and throws it here near side. Carson Bourne going to have to check out of the game. Looks like that right elbow's got a little turf scrape and some blood coming out, so he'll be attended to by the Avera medical staff. Stanley County getting their plays from the sideline from Foth. They look down to the wristband, looking for their first points of the season here in 2026. Zabe, high snap. That's going to get away from him. He's going to have to corral it back at the 45, and wrapping him up, taking him down is Carson Cole. Up front, it's a little bit of a new look for Stanley County this week. They moved Avon Angel off the offensive line, shifted Jax Hofteaser to the from the tackle spot over to center. So maybe some of that bit of inexperience at the center position for Hofteaser showing its ugly head here early. That snap was too high for Zabe. He was able to track it down, but it's a loss of about 8 yards, so it brings up 2nd and 18. Quick bubble screen to the right side. Jack Deal catches it this time around, makes 2-man miss, crosses the 40. Flag is thrown back behind the play as Deal is wrapped up and taken down at the 30. And this might be in the vicinity of a holding, and these are the issues last week that Max Foth implicitly said we have got to clean up. These are drive killers right here. High snap, and then you get a big play that goes for 16 yards. One of your receivers is called for holding, and now it's going to make 2nd and even longer. So Jax Hofteaser being moved from that tight end / tackle position. Kyler Gabriel getting his first start, the sophomore who stands at 6'1" and weighs in at 165. Although the transition should be easy for Jax Hofteaser, who comes from a family of incredible offensive linemen. Everywhere you look in that family, they've got all staters. Officially second and 27. Zabe back in shotgun, looking to heave it deep, looking for Whit Myers over the top, and it's intercepted. Colin Jobjan takes the interception across the 20, tracked down at the 22. And you know what? All things considered, second and 27, it was going to be hard to put a couple plays together to try to get yourself in territory to pick up that first down. And again, while I know it was second down, kind of an arm punt. Good coverage over the top there by Colin Jobjan. So with the Rangers leading 7-0, our first turnover of the game will set them up at their own 22. 8:50 left here in the first quarter. Student section is packed out. They've got their Live Like River shirts on, just about every single one of them. We saw those broken out for one of their fallen classmates at the state championship where Stanley County made it in basketball this year. What a run that was. And great to see all the students out here tonight. Hill City will start in the shotgun option here to the near side. Tosses to Allen Harvey, who stutter steps away from a couple tacklers and will back his way to the 30. That'll be a gain of about 8 yards and set up second down and 2. Up tempo, no huddle here for the Rangers. Joe Baum in on the tackle. Again, back to the shotgun design quarterback keeper. Mason Bueller showing off the legs again across the 40, and he's finally dragged down at midfield. They'll mark him a foot inside Stanley County territory, and the Rangers are off and running. Three receivers here to the near side. Hill City attacking from left to right. Bueller rolling out to his right, wanting to pass, but he's got nothing doing as Seth Cronin and Jax Hofteaser team up for the tackle. Great awareness and presence there from Hofteaser. Got upfield and forced Bueller to cut it back towards the middle, just like Max Foth wanted him to. Gain of a half yard. They'll toss this to Harvey on the outside, and he's got some space and he's got some speed. He's going to be taken down inside the 25. The option, which caused a lot of problems for Stanley County last year, getting back to work here for the Rangers. Marked down at the 23. Ball on the left hash. Bueller in the shotgun. Surveying, gets behind Allen Harvey, runs it up the middle, and nose tackle Seth Cronin wraps him up after a short gain of 2. So now Stanley County goes in to the mode where they just try to hold and stuff up. Force Hill City to send Logan Street back out there. Second down and 8. Bueller wanting to pass. He's tackled as he's throwing, but he's able to get it off at the last second to Harvey, who streaks away from one tackler, but dragged down at the 19. And Stanley County getting some pressure up in the middle. Ryder Roseland able to come in and make the tackle. Therefore, the Buffaloes now a big 3rd down and 5 upcoming early in this ball game. 7 minutes to play first quarter. Rangers with a touchdown lead. 7-0 on our Wegner Auto scoreboard. Ball in the right hash. Bueller in the shotgun. Looks to his left. Quarterback keep the whole way. Stutters and steps off to his left. And the ball is on the ground, and the fumble has been recovered by Stanley County. And that's a huge turnover, as Mason Bueller was able to get enough to move the chains, but as he was fighting for extra yards around the 10, the ball got jarred free, and able to jump on top of it was Carson Bourne. Big play for the Buffaloes, and they've got it back deep in their own territory. So the Hill City Rangers were on the move, but a turnover will end that drive 10 yards shy of the goal line. One team gives it away, and they take it right back. 6:43 left to play. We've got our first official Agtegra timeout. Acres Ahead can maximize your farm's earning potential straight from the start. Contact your local Agtegra cooperative today. We'll be back in 30 seconds here on KGFX. 6:43 to play in the first quarter. Rangers leading 7-0, but Stanley County win the ball when we return.
Heads up from your friends at Grossenberg Implement. This Labor Day, Grossenberg will be parking the tractors and hanging up the wrenches. That's right, all Grossenberg locations will be closed on Monday, September 7th, so the hardworking crews can take a well-deserved break. But don't worry, Grossenberg will fire things back up first thing Tuesday, ready to help you. From everyone at Grossenberg Implement, enjoy your Labor Day, and thank you for letting Grossenberg Implement be a part of your operation.
What if the market...
So Stanley County able to force a fumble at their own 10-yard line and jump on top of it to stall out the Hill City drive. And that might be a play that we look back on later in this ball game that could have been a turning point in this one. Stanley County and Bryant Zabe back on offense. Quick slant route over here near side. Jack Deal steps to his left and makes a man miss. Couple of Hill City cleats back around the 15-yard line as Jack Deal brings it to the 33, and they get out of the shadow of their own goal line with a huge play on 1st and 10. The Hill City defense was about an inch away from picking that one off. Looked like Corey Ronish was going to undercut that route and take it back the other way, but Jack Deal caught it and undressed a Hill City defender. Now 1st and 10. Bryant Zabe on the quarterback keep again. Whit Meyer's going to wrap up his teammate and try to carry him across the 40. And they'll mark him down at the 41. So a 7, maybe 8-yard gain on 1st down for Stanley County. That's them looking good on offense again to start. Their last drive started well. Jack Deal had a nice catch. Carson Bourne made a big play to get him into Hill City territory. But a high snap over the head of Zabe, a holding penalty, led to an INT on 2nd and 27. The Buffaloes looking for a different outcome here on the move as the ball on the right hash at the 41. 2nd and a long 2. Zabe pump fakes to the right, looking deep, wanting Carson Bourne on a go route. He was held up a little bit, no flag, just good contact over the head of Carson Bourne. If that throw had been on the money, Carson Bourne would have been running for days as he was able to just barely squeeze by Ronish on the outside. Brody Moriarty, a little bit of contact on Bourne as he ran that wheel route, which is up, out, and then back up. Grabbed a little bit of shoulder pads. Not enough to warrant the holding penalty, but Stanley County taking some shots on 2nd and short. Now 3rd and short. Zabe alone in the backfield. Blitz coming for Hill City, and they run the other way. Perfect timing to go left when the blitz comes from the right as Bryant Zabe, a.k.a. the Dozer, forces his way towards midfield. Mason Buehler on the tackle. When you talk to these coaches about what they want to see from the offense this year, it all starts with Bryant Zabe, a senior who started his first game last week for Max Foth and his offensive staff saying, we want to kind of embody what Georgia Tech, of all teams, did last year with Haynes King, who's now playing football in the NFL, and we've got a whistle and a timeout. 5:18 remaining in the first quarter. That timeout will be used by Max Foth and the Buffaloes. But if you're unfamiliar with the college football landscape, Haynes King was kind of a dual threat quarterback, and not in the way that you would think of a dual threat guy. He didn't really have the speed. He was fast, but he was more so able to use his physicality to his advantage. Had a great arm, was able to throw the ball all over the field, as we've seen with Bryant Zabe, but his key attribute was his toughness and his ability to drop the shoulder and lay out some defenders, and we're seeing that from Zabe early. So Zabe, who's nicknamed the Dozer, showing how he earned that moniker here early on. 5:18, 7-0. Rangers lead. Stanley County with the ball at the 50-yard line. And a great time to remind you, all timeouts are sponsored by Agtegra. Acres ahead can maximize your farm's earning potential straight from the start. Contact your local Agtegra cooperative today. You can also learn a thing or two from Agtegra. You coming from Georgia. I know plenty about Georgia Tech, but I know nothing about maximizes your farm's earning potential, so I could do some learning there. It's fun to watch this Hill City defense, man. When Brett Eckert says he wants his defense to cause chaos, you can see it as they fly around. But Bryant Zabe running downhill, able to get into the teeth of that defense. First down and 10, more pressure coming. Bryant Zabe going to have to pump fake to his left, and he's going to be able to get back to the line of scrimmage, but not much further. Corey Ronish with a blitz off the near side was able to completely alter that play. Looked like Zabe wanted to come here near side on a slant or maybe an out route, but Ronish thwarted that plan. And the Ronish family, they're pretty familiar with this Fort Pierre area. Their father, Chad, was a Stanley County grad, and he saw some success in a Buffaloes uniform. Part of the 1986 state championship team. So I'm sure he's thrilled to get back to Fort Pierre and see some old friends. 2nd and 10, Bryant Zabe, quarterback carry, off to the left side, past the 45, and he's pummeled down at the 39. And it was Ronish again on the tackle, but not before a 12-yard gain and a first down for Bryant Zabe. Zabe took that snap and had Whit Myers to his left and just got behind Myers, who acted as a fullback on that carry to clear out a little bit of space. And one thing you're seeing with Bryant Zabe is every time he carries the football, he seems to fall forward. Deeper into Hill City territory go the Buffaloes. Ball on the 38 again, moving right to left. Myers on the carry off the right side. Positive yards, and he's spinning as he tries to break away from Mason Bueller. He'll get down to the 32. There's a gain of 6. Carson Bourne going to check back into the ball game offensively. Kyler Gabriel will head to the sideline. So we told you this in the Bank West pregame show. You're going to see a lot of different looks out of this Hill City offense in different phases of the field. And they run a pretty simplistic offense, but they can make it pretty complex from just a couple different formations. Zabe will bring Bourne in motion from right to left. He'll set up in the slot. Zabe in the shotgun, calls for the snap, rolls to his right, looks downfield, going to dump it off to the sideline. Joe Malm with the catch, and he's right at the first down marker. Looks like he's got enough to move the chains. And that's what the officials will say. Joe Malm, another guy that really kind of coming into his own over the past couple of years. He earned his spot on the field last year on some special teams plays he made. And it got to the point in the season where Max Foth said, you know what, I just want to look for guys that want to play football. They don't necessarily need to be the best guy on the field, but they have to have the heart, and that's exactly what Joe Malm possesses. 1st and 10 at the 27, under 3 minutes to go here in the first quarter. Zabe going to hand this one off to Myers. Got a couple blockers off to his left. He's going to step through a tackle at the 20 and drag himself forward across the first down marker to the 15. Good blocking over there to the left side, and this offensive line functioning pretty smoothly with Jax Hofteaser at the center position. Avon Angel did a fine job. He's like a lot of other guys getting himself acquainted and familiarized with the varsity level. And he's got plenty of time to grow up. Angel just a sophomore. Some invaluable experience. Zabe going under center for the first time here in this drive. Malm in motion. They fake the jet sweep, and it's a quarterback carry to the right side. Bryant Zabe able to pick and prod his way through a couple of tacklers, and he brings it inside the 10. So the drive continues in the red zone. First time in this red area for Stanley County as they're knocking on the doorstep. 2nd and 3 after the 7-yard carry. Zabe surveying the defense, takes the snap, hands it off to Whit Myers. Myers off the left side, pummeling across some tacklers and finally wrapped up around the ankles. Colin Jobjan, who had the interception on the first drive, might have just saved a touchdown there. And this will be 3rd and inches. This seems like a good time for Zabe to go under center and get behind Hofteaser. If that is the case, they're going to call for a measurement. And now the chains got laid down by our chain gang. So now they'll have to reset and bring it out. But we mentioned Hofteaser comes from a long line of great offensive linemen. You got Damon Hoff-Teaser on the coaching staff, who is an all-stater in his own right. His brother Brady was an all-state lineman, and they all come from their father. Brandon Hoff-Teaser was an all-state lineman back in his day. So some big shoes to fill, but a long lineage of big men up front for the Hoff-Teaser family. And I believe Brandon's actually on our chain gang here tonight. Ball currently sitting right under the shadow of the outside of the 5-yard line. They'll measure, and Royce Wurtzer will say it's third down and about an inch. I mean, it is close. You think back to the Steve Spurrier era when he was at South Carolina. The play before the biggest hit we've ever seen in college football by Jadeveon Clowney, we saw a measurement like that where they thought they got the first down, but great things happened after that. So we'll see if some great things can happen here for either side. That was Michigan and South Carolina. Zabe gets under center, gets behind Hoff-Teaser, and he falls down to the 3, maybe 2. Either way, it's enough to move the chains. It's going to be 1st and goal. And they'll say he got inside the 2. They'll mark it at the 1.5. 70 seconds to play here in the first quarter. Stanley County looking for their first points of the season. Zabe in the shotgun. Heavy to the right, Whit Myers in the slot on the wing. Zabe's going to take it, turn on the Jets, and stroll in for the Buffalo score. Brian Zabe, the first Buffalo to score in 2026. And they're an extra point away from tying it, or a 2-point conversion away from taking their first lead of the year. A 90-yard drive capped off by a 1-yard scamper for Bryant Zabe, and the Stanley County Buffaloes will keep the offense on the field. 2-point conversion pending. Buffaloes huddle up. And now they'll break. Jack Deal, Joe Malm, receivers off to the right. Whit Myers back in the wing, Zabe alone in the backfield. High snap for Zabe. He's going to roll out, dump it underneath, and it's picked off by Mason Bueller. So the Buffaloes will have to wait for their first lead. Looked like he might have had Joe Malm on an out route along the back line of the end zone, but it's an unsuccessful 2-point conversion. But how about the drive from Stanley County? 90 yards, and Zabe caps it off with a 1-yard touchdown. 7-6. Rangers still lead. 59 seconds to play in the first quarter. We'll be back in 30 seconds with the ensuing kickoff here on KGFX and DRGnews.com.
Shifts. What if the margins on your farm keep getting tighter? Simplot Grower Solutions is here to help. Simplot Crop Advisors know South Dakota corn, soybean, wheat, and other crops like you do because they live and work here. So, even if the market shifts or the margins keep getting tighter, you'll have the insight and support to keep moving forward. Simplot Grower Solutions.
Well, Brian Zabe certainly didn't feel too under pressure on that drive as he takes the Buffaloes 90 yards down the field, and they score on a 1-yard carry. Couldn't convert the 2-point play, opted to go through the air, and I'm sure Max Foth will talk to some of his coaches when the halftime break comes up in about 12 minutes and 59 seconds. See if they want to opt to go back to the ground. A lot of football left to play, though. Stanley County trailing by 1. Carson Bornoff to kick it, and he has it laid sideways, and they'll squirt it across on the turf. The ball is loose for a brief moment and finally covered up at the 37-yard line. That was a dangerous-looking play there. The kick was right at Aiden Hewitt, the sophomore wide receiver, who was able to knock it down, but it just kind of rolled away from him for the moment. And bearing down on him quickly, looking to pick up the loose ball, came John Bose, who is doing it with his cleat. John Bose might have earned Freshman of the Week ×2 had he been able to jump on that loose ball, but not wanting to kick it back to Mason Bueller or Alan Harvey after that opening kickoff return for the touchdown. They opt to go with the squib kick, so good starting field position here at the 38 for Hill City on the right hash, and we've got a whistle. Officials making sure we're reset. 56 seconds left in the first quarter. Stanley County going to jump off sides, and that's a free 5 yards that they were not too thrilled to give away. Jacob Meyer going to be the guilty party on the offside, so it will be 1st and 5. They'll walk it up to the 42. Oh, the 43. They'll say he started at the 38, so Hill City will do something we rarely see, huddle up. They break out. Good hard count there by Mason Bueller, who's lined up in the shotgun with 2 receivers to his outside. He's going to get behind Allen Harvey and find a little bit of daylight as he's able to put his shoulder into Joe Malm and fall across the 49 down to the 50. Gain of about 6.5, maybe 7. And after the offside penalty, moves the chains. Going to the pistol for the first time tonight. Bueller's got Harvey behind him. They run the option to the left side. Whit Myers does a beautiful job of shedding the block of Braylon Ron on the outside in the slot. He's able to shed the blocker and cut down Harvey for a 1-yard loss. And that is a play on tape that Max Foth will show over and over and over again to his guys on the edge. That is a clinic on how to get away from a receiver blocking and make a tackle. Bueller rolling to the right, pressure in his face, and it's over the top of Carson Bourne, who nearly had an interception. The intended receiver, Brody Moriarty, was unable to reel it in. The whole Stanley County sideline was ready to erupt if Carson Bourne had been able to climb the ladder. And you thought he might be able to be. This is a kid in Carson Bourne who showed off his jumps during the basketball season, got some playing time. As a freshman at that state tournament, he can jump through the gym, and he almost picked it off. They're going to float one up top. This one is intercepted on 3rd and 11. It's Jack Deal, and the interception was made by Deal, but that whole play was facilitated by Ryder Roseland, who created some pressure in the face of Bueller. He had to backpedal, and all he could do was just float it up into the air. Jack Deal was lurking, and the interception will turn it back over to Stanley County. 2nd turnover of the game for the Hill City offense, and the Buffaloes are back in business and back out on offense. They'll mark Deal down at the 34-yard line. Jack Deal wearing the number 11, looking a lot like Paxton Deal, who used to do that here on this field. This drive will start with Whit Myers running it off to the left side. He breaks a Mason Bueller tackle, and he's into Ranger territory. Finally brought down inside the 25. Mark him at the 23. Whit Myers running rampant on this Rangers defense. And a huge start to this drive for Stanley County. It was 1-on-1. Corey Ronish trying to bring down Whit Myers, and what a way to end the first quarter. 7-6 Rangers lead, but Stanley County on the move again. It all started with a Jack Deal interception. First play from scrimmage on the drive gets Stanley County deep into Hill City territory thanks to a Whit Myers run. We'll be back with the start of the second quarter. 7-6 Rangers lead, but Stanley County threatening here on KGFX.
Briggs Trucking and Construction in Fort Pierre provides quality freight transportation services, cargo hauling, excavation, and demolition services. They also specialize in dirt and gravel work for everything from commercial work to new construction. Briggs Trucking and Construction will haul everything from light poles to farm and agricultural supplies. The bigger the job or the bigger the load, the better, as that is where their expertise really shines. Contact Briggs Trucking and Construction at 605-280-2848 or email them at cbriggs25@pi.midco.net to visit about your next project.
Now's your chance for
to support the Stanley County schools and students, and they invite you to be a part of it. Parents, grandparents, and community members. Join them in making this a great school year. Follow them on Facebook, or they meet the first Monday of each month, 6 p.m. at the Senior Center. Stanley County Booster Club, proud to be SC.
Start of the second quarter here at Ole Williamson Field as Whit Myers has carried the Buffaloes down inside Hill City territory on the first play from scrimmage after a Jack Deal interception. And this drive will continue on at the 23-yard line once they get everything situated. Hello, everybody. Justin Cowart welcoming you back into the broadcast booth on a gorgeous night in Fort Pierre. What a game starting to unfold here after 12 minutes gone. Stanley County flipping fields, now moving from left to right. Zabe going to go under center. He's got three receivers lined up to his right. They'll start with a bubble screen to Jack Deal. Gets behind a block from Joe Malm. Across the 15, sidestepping around Mason Bueller and finally twisted down at the 12-yard line. There's a lot of little things that are working right now for Stanley County. That interception by Jack Deal all came from a Ryder Roseland blitz that forced Mason Bueller to throw it off his back foot, and then some great blocking outside from Jack Deal, Joe Malm. And now Roseland going to be sent into the backfield, stands to the right of Zabe. They'll give it to Roseland. Roseland looking for a crease, and he'll get close to the 10. They'll say he's marked down at the 11. So a modest gain of 2 will set up second down and 8. It's the little things, and, back on that drive before, a great shedded block by Whit Myers. He was able to chop down Allen Harvey in the backfield, and a couple plays later, the INT. So those little mistakes being cleaned up by the Buffaloes. They'll fake the sweep again. This time Zabe coming near side, gets to the 5, and he's tackled. That's Brody Moriarty, the 6'4 senior. Another modest game, maybe got 4. I'll give him 5, and it'll be 3rd down and 3, and certainly 4 down territory for Max Foth and the Buffaloes. Couple shreds of sunlight coming across the turf here at Ole Williamson, setting up a great scene for some Friday night footballs. Abe under center again, gets behind his lineman. He's going to be stood up and stonewalled right at the line of scrimmage. Carson Kolb, one of the team's captains for Hill City, met him in the A-gap, and I know they call him the dozer, but Carson Kolb showing off that 6'2", 175-pound frame, and now 4th down and a long 2 coming up here for Stanley County. Where does Max Foth want to go with the football here? And it looks like he might use his second Agtegra timeout. Nope, they're going to try to catch Hill City off guard. They were walking to the sideline. Now they sprint back to the line of scrimmage. 4th down and 3. Saving the shotgun, Myers to his right. Looking for the hard count, maybe trying to get Hill City to jump off sides. And Hill City stays composed, and it will be the second timeout used by Stanley County. We'll take it with them. Our timeouts are sponsored by Agtegra. We'll tell you what they have to say on the other side of this 30-second break. You're listening to Stanley County Football live on KGFX and streaming live on drgnews.com.
Great deal on smoking fast fiber internet from Venture Communications. Upgrade to the speed you need, up to 1 gig. And with whole home Wi-Fi included as part of your service, experience no-lag gaming, your favorite music, web surfing, HD video streaming, and connect to the latest smart devices. If you're ready for an upgrade, call or visit Venture Communications online.
When you're in the need.
Out of the Agtegra timeout, acres ahead can maximize your farm's earning potential straight from the start. Contact your local Agtegra cooperative today. Ball rests on the 5-yard line. They've got to get it down to the 3 to move the chains. It's 4th down. Stanley County coming out of the timeout. We'll see what they have drawn up. 2 receivers stacked way outside to the left. Jack Deal in motion. Going to go join those 2 receivers with Carson Bourne lined up solely here on the right side. Zabe in the shotgun, takes the snap, pump fakes left, up the middle, and in for the score. Brian Zabe with his 2nd touchdown in the ball game, and the first lead of the year belongs to the Stanley County Buffaloes. Beautiful drive, capped off by another Bryant Zabe scamper for a score. It's 12-7. And now the second 2-point conversion attempt of the night for Stanley County. They came up empty on the first one, tried to air it out. It was intercepted by Mason Bueller. You got to get in from the 3-yard line. Stanley County opts to put it on the left hash. A 2-receiver set. Couple of tight ends stacked up in the wing position. Zabe in the shotgun, snap through his hands. He'll turn around. He's got pressure, going to try to elude it, but it's to no avail as the speed of Corey Ronish on display. That's 0 for 2 on 2-point plays for the Buffaloes here tonight, but they lead it 12-7. And they cap off a long drive that was started by a Jack Deal INT. 66 yards on the touchdown drive. And that run officially goes for 5 yards on the 4th and 3. 12-7, 9:46 to play here in the first half. And what a ball game this has been. You go back to the first quarter, and when things could have flipped, you feel like, in the opposite direction for Stanley County. You had the gorgeous touchdown return by Mason Buer, the do-it-all kid for the Rangers. He went 75 yards on the opening kickoff. Logan Street would make it 7-0 after an interception by Bryant Zabe. Hill City was able to maneuver it down the field and got to the Stanley County 10-yard line, but a Mason Bueller fumble would give it back to the Buffaloes. Stanley County would go 90 yards. And then after the Jack Deal interception, 4th and 3 for 5 out, Stanley County makes it 12-7. Number 12 on to kick for the Buffaloes. He's going to send the squib again. This one's going to bounce a couple times and be covered up again by, looks like Corey Ronish. You know, that's actually Aiden Hewitt, number 32, on the squib recovery. And it's pretty clear what the plan is here for Stanley County on their kickoffs. You don't want to let Mason Bueller or Alan Harvey get any sort of space. So officially the drive for Hill City will start at their own 39. Now, half the field covered in sunlight as it starts to set on the bluffs back behind us here in Fort Pierre. Perfect night for football. A little bit of a breeze moving from right to left, the direction Hill City's attacking here on offense. Nothing crazy, just a standard South Dakota breeze. It doesn't really even have the tippets of the field goal moving. As we get a ball change here, Max Foth going to take a look at that pigskin and make sure that everything's up to snuff. New one comes in. Not sure if there was a penalty or anything, but they walked this one back to the 34. This is exactly where Stanley County started their previous scoring drive. Now Hill City trying to follow in tow. In shotgun, Mason Bueller's got 2 receivers to either side. 3-man offensive line, Alan Harvey off to Bueller's left. Bueller trying the hard count. Stanley County doesn't bite. Straight away, quarterback keeper up the middle. Whit Myers able to wrap up the ankles of Bueller. And that'll be a 4-yard carry on first down. Brett Eckert was very honest. He said, you know, we had those guys last year that could turn a 5-yard play into a 75-yard play. As Bueller takes the shotgun snap, wanted to pass, things broke down. He's going to keep it himself. Steps by a fleeting Jack Deal. Carries it across the 40-yard line. It'll be another positive gain. This will get him about 2 yards short of the line to gain marker. Up to the 42. Ball on the left hash. But Eckert believes in his seniors and his captains. Mason Bueller, a junior, but also a captain as they run the option to the right side. Alan Harvey on the carry, going to be brought down at the line of scrimmage. Carson Board comes in to make the play, and it brings up decision time for Brett Eckert, 4th and 2. Under 9 minutes to play here in the first half. And the punting unit has come on for Hill City. We'll see if there's any funny, tricky business here for Brett Eckert. Good snap. Punt is away. It's a high, short kick as it bounces at the 43. Nearly touched the left cleat of Ryder Roseland. But I'll tell you what, Logan Street did a fantastic job of even getting that punt away. Stanley County had some pressure in the face of Street, Could have very easily been blocked. Ryder Roseland just happy that didn't clip him on the Achilles heel, which has been an Achilles heel. Has been mistakes in the early going for Stanley County. Couple of penalties last week, stalling out some drives. Couple errant snaps, turnovers, this and that, but all things that Max Foth feels like his guys were able to clean up. He said he felt like their best practice of the year came on Wednesday. When we talked to Foth, and Zabe sets up in the shotgun. This drive will start at the 47. Zabe going over the middle, got a wide open man. It's Jace Hand, but he drops the sure touchdown pass. That is one that Jace Hand will lay his head down on the pillow and think about tonight. That was surely going to be 6. A gorgeous toss from Zabe as Jace Hand ran a slim go route right through the throat of the defense, and he had nothing but Ole Williamson turf in front of him if he could have reeled it in. So 2nd and 10 from the 47. Assistant coach Herman Fennell was step and step. He was going to run that one into the end zone with Stanley County. They'll go back to the ground. Whip Myers, nothing doing on the right side. Ball comes popping out, but they'll say Myers was down. No gain on the play, and it'll bring up 3rd and 10, and you have to imagine Zabe's going back to the air here again. Zabe couldn't have walked it out there and handed it to Jace Hand any better. Hand made a beautiful catch last week early on in that game against Bonham, but that drive came to an end after a couple errant snaps and a penalty. Jace Hand will certainly make his impact on the defense. And I have to imagine that won't be the last time we see the ball go in Jace Hand's direction. 3rd and 10 here, ball on the right hash. Stanley County 3 yards shy of midfield. Zabe moves a man in motion over to his left. Shotgun snap, Zabe rolling to his right, throws back the other way, got it to Carson Bourne, room to work, gets behind a blocker and pummels his way forward through the safety, Mason Bueller for the first down. Same play we saw Stanley County start their first scoring drive off with. Little misdirection, get the defense going to the right and then throw it back the opposite way. Carson Bourne getting behind his lead blocker there. Jacob Meyer, who was able to create a little extra space. And then Carson Bourne, 165, went into 155, Mason Bueller. And Bourne won that battle, but a good open field tackle by Bueller. 1st and 10, ball at the 42. Stanley County and Hill City territory. Long throw here near side. He's got it to Joe Malm, who sheds a tackler at the 30 before he's wrapped up and dropped. Another first down pickup. 10.5 yards on the catch and run by Joe Malm as we go under 7 minutes to play. Mark Malm down at the 30-yard line. As we said, Max Foth said their best practice came on Wednesday, and I asked Brett Eckert, I said, how was your week of practice? He said, we'll know on Friday night. He feels like this is a team of great young talent, great players, but he said it's like a big puzzle. We're just trying to see how we can fit all the pieces apart. As Zabe takes it again on the quarterback keeper, right up the gut. Gain of 5 on first down. Getting behind that Jack Softeaser, Saith Cronin, and Jacob Meyer trio. Softeaser up front, been showing that long lineage of all-state players. It's just in the family, I guess. 2nd down and 5, ball on the Hill City 26. Abe going back under center. We've got a whistle. And our back judge going to come up and talk to Bryant Zabe about something. Not sure what that could have been about. Either way, we reset. Zabe crawls back under center. 3 receivers here to the near side. Stanley County moving left to right. Quick bubble screen here near side for Jack Deal. That's behind the line of scrimmage. It's going to be a fumble and scooped up by Alan Harvey, and he's gone to the races. 20, 10, 5, touchdown Hill City.
Touchdown Rangers.
It'll go down as a fumble recovery. The bubble screen to the right was a backwards pass, and a huge hit laid on Jack Deal, jarred the ball free, and Alan Harvey scooped it and took it to the house. About a 60-yard scoop and score. And that makes it 13-12 Hill City. So Logan Street will come on to attempt the extra point as the momentum pendulum swings again. Logan Street will pace off, kicking it from the 10. It's a guy that's been compared to Adam Vinatieri for South Dakota legs. Low snap, handled well, laces are out, but the kick is through. And it's 14-12. Rangers lead after the 60-yard fumble recovery and score by Alan Harvey. We'll be back in 30 seconds with the ensuing kickoff. Back and forth we go. It's 14-12 Hill City.
For high-quality replacement auto parts, look no further than Zander Auto Parts and Machine Shop in Pierre. Zander's has been servicing the Pierre area for over 40 years. Their professional parts techs can get you the part you need and get you back on the road. Stop by Zander Auto Parts and Machine Shop at 500 West Sioux in Pierre or call 224-9221. Zander's, your source for domestic and foreign auto parts and accessories.
Being a part of a community means
14-12, Hill City on the board again after the scoop and score. Alan Harvey taking it the distance. Kind of a hectic play, and Brad Eckert said his defensive philosophy caused chaos, and that was quite chaotic. A lot of gold helmets around the football. Alan Harvey had to kind of stumble and fumble his way to pick it up. It just came out, and Harvey, who's got innate speed, was able to show that off, but he showed off the hands too, scooping a bouncing ball. 5:30 to play here in the first half. As Logan Street boots this one away, and we'll see if this one goes for a touchback. It sure will, as Carson Bourne as it popped through his hands a few yards deep into the end zone. So a bit of a chaotic way, if you will, for Hill City to find their way on the scoreboard. 12 seconds into the game is all it took as Mason Bueller took back the opening kickoff for a touchdown, and then Alan Harvey doing it in one play. You know, normally with this Hill City team, you're kind of expecting them to be the offensive catalyst like they were a year ago. But as we said, you know, Brad Eckert's still just trying to find his team. Doesn't worry if it comes a little bit later. He just relies on his captains. And the way they choose those captains, Brett Eckert actually hosts a senior send-away party at his house at the end of the year. And he asks his team, he says, 2 questions for you. I want you to pick 3 guys who embody character, what you do when no one's looking. And then the second question is 20 seconds left in the fourth quarter, game on the line. Who do you want to get the ball? And with those 2 questions answered, Mason Bueller, Carson Kolb, and Drew Almer are your 3 Hill City captains. And we've already seen Bueller have a huge impact on this game, and I'm sure we'll see Kolb and Almer do the same. Kolb's had some big hits tonight. Stanley County back on the offensive side of the football, starting at their own 20. High throw through the hands of a defender into the waiting hands of Jack Deal. He'll be wrapped up for a short gain. They'll pick up 3 on the play, 2nd down and 7. Ball over to the left hash. Stanley County going left to right. Some folks still looking for some places to sit. Packed crowd here tonight as we expected. Zabin the shotgun. Low snap, fields it cleanly. Takes it here near side. Crosses the 25. Sticks his foot in the ground and backs his way across the 30. They'll mark him down at the 31.5. That's enough to move the chains for Brian Zabin, the Buffaloes. Under 5 minutes to play. Stanley County will get the ball to start the second half. So ideally for Max Foth, drain out this clock, end up with some points as you go into our CHS River Plains halftime show, then come out in the second half and do the same thing. See if that storybook can be written for Max Foth and the Buffs. Bryant Zabe in the shotgun, 12 on the play clock, 3 receivers to his right. Looks right, pump fakes, now looks downfield, fires over the middle, looking for Joe Malm. This one's going to be picked off. Intercepted by Jobjan. Jobjan into Stanley County territory. He's going to be brought down at the 42.
Is intercepted by Jobjan.
So the second interception of the night for Bryant Zabe.
Rangers start 1st and 10 at the
This time it's Jobjan.
6-yard line.
And that's his second of the evening as well. So a positive start after 2 plays. And we've got a timeout taken by the Rangers with 4:14 to play. And Hill City coming back on offense. Timeouts are sponsored by AgTegra. Acres Ahead can maximize your farm's earning potential straight from the start. Contact your local AgTegra cooperative today. We'll take a 30-second break and be back with the final 4:14 of this first half. Jobjan's interception sets up Hill City at the Stanley County 41 when we return.
Sharing the history and future of the people all around you. For 115 years, First Fidelity Bank has been doing just that, helping you get the most out of life by providing the services and tools you need, the conveniences and technology you want, and the friendly faces you expect. So you get everything you need right here in the place you call home. Now and for many years to come. First Fidelity Bank.
Graham Tire of Pierre is...
Justin Cowart here in the booth. Haley Hansen back in the studio. Brian Menning on the camera if you're joining us live on KGFX or drgnews.com at the KGFX station page. 14-12, Rangers out in front. And Colin Jobjan reeling in his second interception of the ball game has Hill City set up at the Buffaloes 41. Excuse me, they're set up at the 36 rather. Took 5 yards away from Hill City. New quarterback in the ball game. For Hill City, it's going to be a fake option toss and a run off to the right side. That's Colt Eckert, the nephew of head coach Brett Eckert, with the gain of a yard and a half. A little deception at the Stanley County defense there, but they were ready for it. Eckert going to line up again in the pistol set as the quarterback with Mason Bueller as the back behind him. He'll fake the handoff to Bueller, try to take it to the left side. He's met immediately and dropped Jacob Meyer with the tackle in the backfield. That's a loss of 3.
Brought down by Meyer.
They've gone with Colt Eckert as the quarterback. The last 2 snaps look like they'll do it for a 3rd straight time. Wondering if Mason Bueller might be dealing with an injury to the arm of some sort. Eckert takes the shotgun snap, pressure in his face. He's going to be dropped in the backfield. Huge loss on back-to-back downs, and Stanley County is forced to 4th and long. Jacob Meyer in on the tackle. Back there with him was Avon Angel. We told you Avon Angel is going to make an impact on this team. Even though just a sophomore, got moved down to the center position, but he's out there on the defensive line, and he makes a huge play for his defense and his teammates. That's a big stop for the Stanley County defense, and we'll continue to keep an eye on Mason Bueller. No field goal attempt here for Logan Street, although we would have loved to see it. Would have been a 60-plus yarder, but we know he can boot it. He'll punt the pigskin away. High end-over-end kick will be fair caught at the 15-yard line by Jack Deal. 2:31 on the clock here in the first half for Stanley County.
15-yard line.
To try to put some more points on the board. This has been an outstanding ball game thus far. We'll recap that first half. Take a look at some scores from around the state when we get to our CHS River Plains halftime. Great time to download the DRG News app as well. We got multiple games going on across our airwaves tonight, football and a little volleyball. As the Stanley County drive will start at the 15, they'll begin it on the ground. Whit Myers trying to dance away from some tacklers. He's going to be wrapped up immediately. Good team tackling there. Conrad Tyler, one of the few Hill City helmets in on the play. Mason Bueller still out there at his safety position, so not sure if Brett Eckert was just trying to throw a different look at the Stanley County defense with Colt Eckert at quarterback or what. The question is for Max Foth, how aggressive do you want to be here? As we go under 2 minutes to play, you're deep in your own territory. You've already had 2 passes intercepted. He's able to start alone in the shotgun. Looks to his left, pump fakes, now fires over the middle. Jason with another opportunity to make a catch, but it's broken up by Mason Bueller.
Pass intended for
and on the
hand.
coverage, Brody
Batted
Moriarty
down
was
by
also
Bueller.
there. That one floated a bit. And it will fall incomplete. Now 1:43 to play, 3rd and 13 upcoming. Couple things to consider here. You had a blocked punt last week against Bonham. And you're well inside your own territory. They're down at their own 13-yard line, are the Buffaloes, so you have got to be smart here for the next couple of plays. And I think Max Foth will want to talk this
Stanley
one
County.
over. Timeout taken by Max Foth and the Buffs. 1:43 to go here in the first half. Timeout sponsored by Agtegra. We'll tell you what they have to say here in 30 seconds on KGFX and DRGnews.com.
Premier Hometown Shop, specializing in tires to fit vehicles, from ATVs to large farm equipment and everything in between. At your tire store next door, you can find a plethora of brand name tires that range from 4 to 10 ply and much more. Our highly skilled technicians can handle brakes, heating, and air conditioning. Call us today at 224-8643 or visit us at GrahamTire.com. Graham Tire is a proud sponsor of Pierre and surrounding communities' local activities.
Pests don't wait.
Out of the Agtegra timeout, we remind you acres ahead can maximize your farm's earning potential straight from the start. Contact your local Agtegra cooperative today. 3rd and 13 here for the Buffaloes at their own 13. He's able to line up in the shotgun with the ball off shaded from the middle towards the left hash. He's got a couple receivers to either side. Zabe going to look to his right. Now fire, but he's hit from behind, and that ball comes free, and they will say it was incomplete. He was going to look for Carson Bourne up the near sideline, but a huge hit laid in the backfield by the Hill City defense. That looked like Corey Ronish again creating some pressure, and he hit Bryant Zabe right between the numbers in the back as he was setting up to try to heave that one away. But luckily for Stanley County, his arm was moving forward. So it's not a fumble, it's an incompletion. And Carson Bourne on to punt. Mason Bueller backpedals and awaits in between the 40 and the 45. Carson Bourne standing on his own goal line. Good snap. And the punt is away. Spiraling kick will land at the 40 and tumble forward to about the 48.5-yard line. So Hill City will take over with 1:27 left here in the second quarter, and Colt Eckert will make his way off the sideline for Hill City. He took the last 3 snaps at quarterback, which is really interesting. Mason Bueller was functioning really well back there at the helm, but you wonder with some of the shots he's taken, obviously we don't speculate on injuries, but made me think something might be going on with the junior captain quarterback, Mason Bueller. Eckert certainly is finding his way with his new skill players, but he feels like his offensive line up front, 2 seniors and a junior, Carson Kolb, Drew Almer, the 2 seniors mentioned, he feels like there's a lot of cohesiveness and a lot of connectivity up front. Feels like that might be his strongest unit. Eckert again in the shotgun as the quarterback. Bueller to his right. Design quarterback keeper. And he runs right into a purple wall. Avon Angel again, the first Buffalo to get there. It's going to be a loss of about 5. Landon Meyer also coming in. Jacob Meyer, that is, coming in from his nose tackle position. And Max Foth said the same about Avon Angel. Just the kid loves to play football. I asked him, how did he experience the move from the position? We'll tell you about that in a moment. Eckert back to pass, under pressure, off the back foot. Whit Myers going to pick this one out of the air at the 31. Myers carrying a tackler forward. No whistles blown, but everybody's kind of seemingly stopping and going. We've got a flag on the field after a rough tackle by Carson Kolb. It was really interesting. It looked like some guys were stopping and starting. Half the team looked like the whistle had blown. The other half kept fighting. Whit Myers is one of those that had kind of given up on the play. 2 flags on the field. One back here on the Hill City side of the 50. The other around the tackle. Best case scenario for Stanley County, both of these on the offense. Best case scenario for the Rangers. Offsetting penalties. So Royce Wurtzer and his team will get together. Everybody kind of standing around with some laundry on the field. 44 seconds to play. Jax Hofteaser believes both of these are on the Rangers. And more conversation taking place. Looking like Royce Wurtzer going to talk to some of these Hill City captains to try to figure out or explain to them what's happening. So there's holding on the defense before the INT. I'm not really sure how you get a holding back around the line of scrimmage on a pass play like that unless a defensive lineman was holding a skill player. So they'll sort this out. The other was a late hit. It's going down as unsportsmanlike, as you might hear over the PA. But either way, it'll be second down again, and the penalty will move the ball back to the 44-yard line of Hill City, and they've got to get to the Stanley County 38 to move the chains. So, Brett Eckert, you wanted chaos, my friend. You've got it here. This has been quite the first half. We've gotten a little bit of everything. We've had some INTs. We've had a fumble. We've had a kick return taken for a touchdown, some extra points, some failed two-point conversions. If you're playing bingo tonight, they're probably 1 or 2 boxes away from the prize. We'll see. They're still trying to sort this out. And now they're explaining, it looks like, to Jacob Meyer. And Max Voth wanted an explanation on the holding penalty. Again, it was called on the defense in the backfield. The only time you really see a holding penalty called on the defensive line is when a tight end or a running back is trying to get away for a screen or a short pass. And the defensive lineman will hold him up, grab his jersey, and try to stop him from getting to the open field. But again, it didn't really look like there was any of that going on. But one of the officials signaled over to Max Voth. It was one of the defensive linemen grabbing and trying to just shed, which, I don't know. I wasn't in the officials' meeting before the season, but apparently that's a new rule being implemented. Good news for Hill City, though. They're back on offense. It'll be second down and a mile. Again, have to get to the 38. They're in their own territory. Eckert on the quarterback keeper. Another flag flies in as Eckert pounds his way towards the 50. This one was immediately thrown. Stanley County's getting some great pressure off the snap. And they're going to ask Max Voth, does he want to accept the penalty? Just 15 seconds left to play, and Max Voth still looking ornery as ever on the Stanley County sideline here on the near side after that defensive holding penalty. And now they move it back even further. Another holding call, this time on the Hill City defense. They'll move it back to the 34. And I think if you're Brett Eckert, you're probably thinking about just dropping a knee and taking this one to the halftime. Eckert will line up in the pistol. Mason Bueller behind him. Eckert will take it. Option here to the near side. Jacob Meyer chasing Mason Bueller across the 45 and forced out at the 50 with Myers there for the tackle. This leaves 4 seconds on the clock. And, you know, if you're Eckert, you've got the leg in Logan Street. If you could pick up another 8 yards within these seconds, a quick pop pass to one of the sidelines and get out of bounds, you might be able to give Logan Street a shot. I mean, why not, right? The kid made a 49-yarder last week on grass. He's booted from 50-plus in practice, says Eckert. And now Colt Eckert in the shotgun will take the snap. He'll roll out to the right. This will be the final play of the first half, barring a penalty. Eckert rolling, looking, just going to take it himself and be run out of bounds by Jacob Hofteaser. And that's how the first half will end. Boy, what a first half it was. Back and forth, a lot of action, and it ends as a 14-12 Hill City Rangers lead. And we're here to recap all of it for you in the CHS
River Plains halftime. We'll be back with that, some scores from around the state, and a look ahead to the final 2 quarters of what has been a thrilling Friday night football game here in Fort Pierre on KGFX and DRGnews.com.
Neither should you. At Olson's Pest Technicians, we've been protecting homes and businesses for over 55 years. From bats in the attic to rodents in the walls, ants in the kitchen, termites underground, even swarms of mosquitoes. We've seen it all, and we handle it all. With expert technicians, ethical treatments, and service across South Dakota, Nebraska, and Iowa, you can count on Olson's to get the job done right. Contact us today at Olson's Pest Technicians. Family-owned, community-trusted.
Allied Plumbing and Heating is your contact for business, farm, commercial, and residential plumbing needs located in Pierre. No job is too big or too small. Allied Plumbing is Central South Dakota's premier plumbing and hydronics contractor. At Allied Plumbing and Heating, the only surprise we want for our customers is how fast we get the job done. That's why we offer free estimates on every single service and no hidden charges. Give Allied a call today at 605-494-2001. And remember, you can always rely on your allies.
Do you want to join one of the oldest established organizations in Fort Pierre? Perhaps you are more interested in protecting the future. Whatever your position, the Fort Pierre Volunteer Fire Department is for you. We are responsible for fire protection in Fort Pierre and Stanley County. Become part of this amazing team by stopping down at the fire hall and discussing enrollment. We are not just limited to adults, as we have a new cadet program for students ages 14 to 18. For more information, click on our banner ad on the homepage. From everyone at the fire hall, go Buffs!
What does it take to feed and fuel the world? To integrate a global ag and energy supply chain, serving farmers and advancing agriculture? What does it take to build communities, powering rural economies and empowering agriculture? It takes the nation's leading farmer-owned cooperative. It takes a co-op. It takes CHS.
Dakota Pro Air is a locally family-owned business that has been taking care of farmers' aerial needs since 2020. With locations in Letcher and Miller, Dakota Pro Air is able to provide service to a large area. Ground conditions too wet, or just don't want those sprayer tracks in your field? Give Dakota Pro Air a call for all your chemical and fertilizer application needs at 605-248-2314.
The innocence of youth. Is there anything any better? But soon they'll be in high school and facing all the same challenges you faced. How to make friends, how to fit in, how to be cool. We want our children to have everything they'll need to live fulfilling and productive lives. Make sure the kids in your family are among the more than 57,000 participants here in South Dakota who take part in high school sports or activities.
Have you ever wondered what the benefits are of becoming a Owyhee Federal Credit Union member? At Owyhee Federal Credit Union, we reinvest profits in you. We do this in the form of lower interest rates, higher dividends, and low to no fees. So come check us out or come in at 221 East Pleasant Drive in Pierre, because at Owyhee Federal Credit Union, we treat our members like they own the place because, well, they do.
Owyhee Federal Credit Union.
Bank West is rooted in South Dakota. Committed to local success. Just like you.
Halftime show. Hello, everybody. Justin Cowart coming to you live from Fort Pierre. Haley Hansen back in the studio. And if you're watching on drgnews.com at the KGFX station page, Brian Menning on the camera. 14-12, Hill City lead. What a fun first half it was. Looked like it might be all Hill City in this one. Mason Bueller taking it 75 yards on the opening kickoff, showed off his speed and took it to the house. It was a Logan Street extra point that would make it 7-0. And then after an interception, after a promising looking drive for the Buffaloes, the Hill City Rangers would take it all the way down to the Stanley County 10, but a Bueller fumble would turn over into the hands of Stanley County. They would go for a 90-yard drive that saw some big runs by Whit Myers and Bryant Zabe, showing why they call him the Dozer. They took it, like I said, 90 yards down and was capped off by a 1-yard touchdown score. They would not convert the 2-point conversion. It would be a 7-6 score. And then Jack Deal would come up with a big interception that was all facilitated by some pressure by Ryder Roseland in the face of quarterback Mason Bueller. Jack Deal picked it off. Stanley County started at the 34-yard line, again went the distance of the field thanks to some Carson Bourne magic. Another big Whit Myers run. Ryan Zabe again from 5 yards out would score it on 4th down and 3. And when Stanley County looks like they might start running away with it, Jack Deal would be pummeled in the backfield on a backwards pass. Allen Harvey would track down the loose ball, take it 60 yards the other way for the Hill City score. So Brett Eckert, while seeing some points from his Rangers team, not coming from his offense, a special teams and a defensive touchdown. And Stanley County doing it the more traditional way. Some long drives and some quarterback keepers in for the score. That 2-point conversion for Stanley County on their second touchdown, too, would come up unsuccessful. So 14-12 Rangers lead. And I just got a smile on my face. What a fun first half it was. And we expect an equally as exciting second half. We'll get to the second half and some of the questions that we have about both sides here in a moment. But first, let's take a look around the state at some other games going on. Of course, we've got a great slate of games going here tonight on the airwaves of DRG Media. On KPLO, Corsica Stickney taking on Lyman. On KMLO, we got Harriet Selby area at Lemon. Star 99 and Matthew Giavoni have St. Thomas More and Mobridge Pollock facing off. And on River 92.7 tonight, a little Pier Governor volleyball. Brian Oakland on the coverage there. Pier Governor football will get underway tomorrow night against Sturgis, and our coverage will begin at 4:25 on River 92.7. And I think I might be joining Brian Oakland in the booth for some color commentary. We'll see if that all plays out. We do have some Pier Governor volleyball tomorrow afternoon. Going to be a busy day for Brian Oakland in the broadcast booth. Let's take a look at some scores from around the state. A couple of really good games going on in 9AA tonight. Hanson leading Viborg Hurley at the end of the first half, 22-20 the score there. Scotland Menno leading Trip Delmont Armor ACDC 14-12 after 2 quarters. And, of course, here, Hill City and Stanley County separated by 2 points. Not so close between Esteline, Hendricks, and Sisseton. Hendricks going to take that win, it looks like. They're leading 44-0. Check out this score. Gregory falling to Bonham right now, 47-6. We told you this in the Bank West pregame show. A lot of folks at Bonham playing in the final game of the season. Wall leading Lee Deadwood 20-0. That one about 4 minutes away from hitting the halftime mark. Hamlin leading Britton Hecla 20-6. At the end of the first half. Sully Buttes trailing Kimball White Lake 20-6 late in the second quarter there. Phillip leading Hardin County 27-6 at the end of the first half. Warner with a short 10-0 lead over North Central. They have gotten the second half underway on KPLO, as we mentioned. Lyman and Corsica Stickney, the Raiders, with a 14-0 lead. Ipswich leading Redfield 38-0. And that score on KMLO 14-7. Harriet Selby area leading Lemon in that one. 11A scores. Douglas leading Custer 21-7. And 11 AA T area leading Huron 28-19. Mitchell leading Brookings 21-7. Yankton leading Aberdeen Central 27-3. Watertown currently topping off on Spearfish 12-0 at the end of the first half. And from 11 AAA, Sioux Falls, Washington got the shutout win against Rapid City Central earlier this afternoon, 28-0. Sioux Falls Roosevelt leading Rapid City Stevens 27-0 early in the second quarter. Sioux Falls Lincoln and O'Gorman are in a close one as they get the second quarter underway. Lincoln leading 14-7. Brandon Valley leading Bellevue West 3-0 at the end of the first half. So let's look ahead here to this second half of action. The coaching staff of Hill City came down from the top of the crow's nest and our PA announcer said, "What's going on with Mason Bueller?" And mum is the word. No tips given away. We saw Mason Bueller at the quarterback position for most of that first half. Colt Eckert got checked in on the final 2 drives, and the Hill City offense just kind of hit a stalling out point. Again, we can only know what we see down on the field, and the way that Mason Bueller was commanding that offense, it's not that Colt Eckert is not able to run the system at quarterback. It's just that Mason Bueller does so really, really efficiently and a lot of times flawlessly. So it was a bit obtuse to see Colt Eckert go back there and take some snaps. The early thought is maybe Mason Bueller might be dealing with a shoulder injury. Again, that is all speculation. We sure hope it's not, because boy, is Mason Bueller a fun quarterback to watch. However, if that is the plan for Hill City in the second half, if you're Stanley County, you feel like you can make some hay. Your defensive line is getting a ton of pressure up front. You're receiving Avon Angel, Jacob Meyer get pressure into the backfield. Jax Hofteaser is making some noise on the outside. Joe Malm, Whit Myers on the back end, and Carson Bourne making some big plays. So Stanley County's defense certainly feels like it's been able to dig in their heels. I think the question in the second half for Hill City is, can your defense hold up against this Stanley County offense? If you're the Buffaloes in the second half, you have got to limit the mistakes, the penalties, which haven't been as prevalent in this ball game as they were against Bonham. If you can keep those at a minimum, you have to limit the turnovers. Some of the throws over the middle of the field have been going right into the teeth of that very stout back end of the Hill City defense. Caleb Jojen already 2 interceptions in this game. Mason Bueller back there has a lot to say. Brody Moriarty at 6'4", 175 is a shutdown corner. He's not letting anything get over the top. So for Stanley County, you feel like you got to go back to what has been working. Whit Myers has been running the ball effectively on the ground. Brian Zabe, when he's been throwing the ball short, has found some success. Of course, there was that one deep throw to Jace Ham that went in and out of his hands that would have certainly been a 6-point play. But you got to wipe that clean if you're Stanley County and look ahead to the second half. Stanley County will get the ball to start the third quarter, so we'll see if they can put a little drive together, get down, put some points on the board. And if you're Hill City, you may, if indeed Mason Bueller is not going to be throwing the ball in the second half, it'll be interesting to see where they try to go for some offensive production. It's 14-12 here with the Hill City Rangers leading at the end of the first half. Final couple minutes of our CHS River Plains halftime coming down the bend here. We're going to take one more final break. When we come back, it's time for the start of the third quarter. You're listening to Stanley County versus Hill City live on KGFX and streaming live tonight on drgnews.com.
Access Health Fort Pierre welcomes new and established patients, offering chronic and acute care for all ages, including evaluations for illness and injuries, immunizations, lab testing, wellness exams, and DOT and sports visits. Same-day appointments are available, and most major insurances are accepted. Good luck this season, athletes, from Access Health Fort Pierre, assuring access to quality health care.
Fort Pierre Livestock wishes the Stanley County Buffalo athletes best of luck at their competition today. Fort Pierre Livestock has feeder and replacement heifer sales on Fridays and bred cows and weigh-up sales on Saturdays. Go to FortPierreLivestock.com for upcoming sales and market reports, selling America's best cattle for America's finest people since 1947. Good luck, Stanley County Buffaloes, from everyone at Fort Pierre Livestock.
Xander Auto Parts, the only locally owned auto parts store in the Fort Pierre area, has been serving Central South Dakota for over 40 years. They're a trusted name when it comes to automotive parts and supplies. Their knowledgeable staff is dedicated to assisting you in finding exactly what you need. Convenience is also a top priority. They're located at 500 Sioux Avenue. Xander Auto Parts. They support area youth in their activities. When you need auto parts or supplies, shop Xander Auto Parts, your auto value parts store.
A new school year is here, and there's nothing better than seeing the halls of Stanley County schools filled with students, teachers, and school spirit. Welcome back, Buffs, and welcome back, staff. The Stanley County Booster Club is proud to support the Stanley County schools and students, and they invite you to be a part of it. Parents, grandparents, and community members. Join them in making this a great school year. Follow them on Facebook, or they meet the first Monday of each month, 6 p.m. at the Senior Center. Stanley County Booster Club, proud to be SC.
With Dakota Plains Federal Credit Union's new online and mobile banking features, you can apply for a loan anytime, anywhere. Send and receive secure messages with our team and manage your debit or credit card with ease. Plus, enjoy seamless digital wallet compatibility. Tap, pay, and go with confidence. Your money, your control, your convenience. Download the app today and experience the future of banking. Safe, simple, and always with you. All deposits are insured up to $250,000 by NCUA.
Sunny set off to our west as things heat up here at Ole Williamson Field in Fort Pierre. Justin Cowart here live in the broadcast booth as we get the second half underway here in a few moments. 14-12, Hill City Rangers lead, and I'd love to be a fly on the wall in the locker room for the Hill City Rangers. Their halftime break, Brett Eckert, when we asked him what he would grade his team's performance last week, he said, all in all, I'd give us a C-. We felt like we were in that game early against Parkston. It was essentially an 8-0 game at the midway point of the second quarter, and his defense has done some great things here tonight. Couple of interceptions from Jobjan. They had a fumble recovery go for 6 back on the other end. They have forced the quarterback of Stanley County, Bryant Zabe, to speed up a little bit, but on the other side of things, how does Max Foth look at that first half offensively? What worked for them, what didn't, and how do you expose a Hill City defense that by all means has some serious thumpers on their end? And on the offensive side for Hill City, we mentioned it a little bit, the absence of Mason Bueller on those final 2 drives. Colt Eckert went in to play quarterback, tried to throw the ball a couple times. Whit Myers on the intercepting end of one of those plays. He ran the ball most of the time. However, it was a lot of presence from the defensive line of Stanley County in the backfield, and with Stanley County coming out on offense, they love to send their defense back out there with the lead. Trailing by 2, they picked up their first lead of 2026 earlier in the first half, looking to make it their second lead with this ensuing drive. Hill City will be kicking from left to right here on your radio dial. Logan Street to boot it away. Carson Bourne and Jack Deal standing at the goal line. We'll see if they even get a chance to return this as the long leg of Logan Street will send it to Carson Bourne. He'll catch it at the 6, taking it past the 15, now cutting it up the middle across the 25, dragged down at the 30. They'll mark him at the 32. And good starting field position for the Buffaloes here to start the second half. Bryant Zabe had a good first half on the ground, couple good passes and some well-timed plays that saw a little misdirection. Carson Bourne hobbling off to the sideline, so we'll keep an eye on him. Injury bug bit this Stanley County team early and often last year, and we hope to see that stay away for the remainder of the season here in 2026. Zabe will start in the shotgun against the Stanley County, going from right to left. Zabe surveys the defense, got one receiver right, one receiver left. They'll start it on the ground with Myers, trying to get a block from Jack Deal, cuts by one, tries to spin away from another tackler, but 4 Hill City jerseys in the area, and they'll stop Whit Myers for a short gain, gives him 2. All up to the 34 here on the left hash. Couple of gold helmets in on that tackle, including Corey Ronish, who's had a big first half for Hill City on the defensive end, generated a lot of pressure from that kind of quarterback / linebacker position. They'll bring Joe Mallman, motion fake the jet sweep, and Zabe runs right into the teeth of that Hill City defense, led by Brody Moriarty. Carson Kolb also in there on the tackle. Hill City had that red right from the start, so that'll be a loss of a half yard. 3rd and 9 coming up. Zabe with success going through the air, although the question is, can you buy him enough time? Feels like every time they've gone deep except for one play, there's been Rangers in the area. Zabe will take the snap, rolling right, throwing left. Got Jack Deal across the 40. Flag comes in. Deal's got the first down, but this one's coming back. This will be a holding penalty against the Stanley County Buffaloes offense. Looks like they're going to get it on Kyler Gabriel. Just grabbed a little bit too much jersey out here on the edge. And it looked like Corey Ronish, who was on the receiving end of that hold, and did a good job selling it too. He kind of came out from the contact and threw his arms up in the air right in the face of the official, and it drew the penalty marker. So the penalty occurred at the 42-yard line of Stanley County, so they'll walk it back 10 from there. This will set up third down and about 11, maybe 12. See where we'll say in between the 31 and the 32. Either way, it's third and long. What can Stanley County go with here to try to move the chains on this first drive of the third quarter? Carson Bourne resets his position in motion here to the near side. Now two receivers out to Zabe's right. Bourne to his left in the slot. Zabe takes the snap, looking left, pump fakes, now looking downfield. Wants to take it himself, but he can't step away from the tackle. Another penalty flag comes flying in. Carson Kolb in on the tackle. And again, in the area of holding. So the penalty's starting to mount up for Stanley County. And this will be another decision for Brian Eckert. Does he want to take the penalty and force another third and long? Or do you want to push the chips to the middle of the table and see if Max Foth will go for a 4th and about 5 in their own territory? It looks like they'll take the holding penalty. So the chain gang moves it back to the 22. And now you got to be really careful here. Called him Brian Eckert. My apologies. It's Brett Eckert. But either way, he decides to take the penalty. 3rd and 20 from the 22. And Stanley County's got to be careful here. You don't want to turn the ball over in this scenario. Although Zabe could probably out-throw a punt. So we'll see what they opt. Zabe looks, throws over the middle. He's got Carson Bourne on a crossing route who makes the catch at the 28. And that's where he'll be tackled. Mason Bueller coming up from the safety position to make the tackle. 4th down. And the punting unit will come out for Stanley County. So a good stop by the Hill City defense to start this third quarter. And again, we're just kind of on the edge of our seats to see who's going to come out and take snaps at quarterback for the Rangers. Alan Harvey back to return, standing between the 40 and the 45. A lot of time to punt high into the night. Fort Pierce sky is Carson Bourne's punt as it bounces at the 43. And it comes back in Stanley County's vicinity. Has some backspin and bounces out at the 45, so that's where the Rangers will start. And currently Mason Bueller is kind of keeled over at the 45. Got both of his hands on his knees and looking like he is dealing with some sort of ailment. We don't know what it is, but it's certainly present. And it's visible. Ball placed on the right hash at the 45 in Ranger territory. That's where Hill City will start. And everybody watching probably knows the story behind the Rangers logo and mascot along with the colors. But I just love the story, so we'll tell it again for you because it's a story that deserves to be told. Bueller will start as the quarterback. He'll take the snap, toss on the option out to Alan Harvey, who splits a couple defenders, and he's off to the races. He's not looking back. 20, 10, 5, touchdown on the first play of this drive. Alan Harvey takes it to the house. We got a couple players down back behind the play. Mason Bueller, one of them. And on the other end, the Rangers are celebrating in the end zone. Rather, it's a 55-yard scamper for the score. And the Rangers extend their lead to 8. Alan Harvey with his second touchdown of the game. And now both medical teams will check on both players. Jace Hand being helped to his feet for the Buffaloes. Looked like he might be dealing with a cramp, but Mason Bueller's got his helmet off, and he is in some serious pain. Not a good sign here for Hill City. One of the heartbeats of this team, Mason Bueller, down on his back. So they'll tend to him. A couple of his teammates, and Drew Ulmer and Carson Kolb, a trio of captains, all surrounded by the one on his back, Mason Bueller. Bueller, the 5'11 junior. You know, we had questions, obviously. We've said it multiple times. Could he be possibly dealing with something? And he's being slowly helped to his feet to a round of applause here from the home and away fans. So Bueller will slowly make the trip back to the sideline. We hope the best for him. Whole Hill City team on a knee. We'll have to pop up and go attempt the extra point to make it 21-12. Kind of a bittersweet scorer is your star quarterback under some duress. As Logan Street sets up the tee. Great blocking on the left side for Hill City there. Creating a lane for Allen Harvey to just turn on the Jets and take it to the house as Logan Street sets up the PAT. Snap is wide. It's corralled, and the kick is away, and it's no good. So Logan Street is human. It remains an 8-point score ball game, and that extra point missed could come up big. We'll see if Stanley County can piece together an offensive drive. Back in 30 seconds here on KGFX and drgnews.com.
We're all connected. In South Dakota. For South Dakota. Convenient, connected, committed. Bank West.
Generational success means different things to different people. But to us, it means seeing my daughter follow in my footsteps, keeping the farm in the family, just getting to do this every day. We're Agtegra Cooperative, and we're generationally successful. That's who we are. Agtegra Cooperative.
The Corner Station Convenience.
The snap was wide. It was handled well by the battery, but the kick just sailed wide of the goalposts, and it remains a one-score game. 9:01 to play here in the third quarter. As Logan Street looks to send it back to Carson Bourne and Jack Deal. Just want to low line drive bullet bounces out of the back of the end zone. We mentioned the Rangers mascot logo and colors. Well, many, many decades ago, there was a wildfire around the campus of Hill City. And short on hands, the Hill City football team said, you know what, we're going to go help our community. They went out and they helped the fire department, the Park Service, battle that wildfire like a bunch of true heroes would, and so appreciative of that. The Parks Department said, you are going to be the only team in the country to sport the Smokey the Bear and the Rangers colors, and they've held on to that ever since. And I just think that is such a cool story. Stanley County's drive starts with a Bryant Zabe carry as he splits some tacklers across the 35, still on his feet across the 40. So the Stanley County Buffaloes keeping it on the ground. A Bryant Zabe carry takes it closer to midfield, down at the 42, and Stanley County's up-tempo offense back to work. 22-yard gain on the play. Ball on the right hash. Bryant Zabe in the shotgun. Couple receivers right, two to his left. In the shotgun, Zabe surveys the defense, eyes, now squats, takes the snap, dropping back, looking to pass, wanting to go deep, but he pulls it back down. Now rolling out to his left, pressure in his face. He cuts it back up the middle, positive yards, but he's suplexed down at the 45 on the tackle, Carson Kolb, and we just hope that Brian Zabe gets up after that tackle. He went face first into the turf after that tackle by Kolb, and he's already dealing with a banged up left wrist. Max Foth said Sunday night he got a text from his starting quarterback saying, well, we got some loose matter in the left arm. I'm in a soft cast. And Foth thought for the moment that he had lost his starting quarterback in 2026. But you don't get the nickname Dozer without being tough. And he picks up 4 on that carry. Low snap, handed off to Whit Myers. Myers off the right edge, steps past a tackler across midfield, and he dives towards the first down marker, and that looks to be enough to move the chains. We'll mark him down at the 48. That was the line to gain, and it is indeed a first down. Brian Zabe did take some big shots in that bottom game. Had some pressure in his face and had to backtrack quite a bit after some snaps got away from him. 1st and 10, right hash. Snap handed off to Myers. Myers off the left edge. Gets a block from Jack Deal across the 35. Stiff arms a man, and he's forced out of bounds at the 36. Rather, the 26. And another first down carry. This time it's Whit Myers on the tote. And Stanley County again up to the line quickly. Zabe will go under center. He's got Myers as the wing. It'll be a quarterback keeper. Zabe powering forward across the 20. Somehow picks up 9 yards while carrying a host of Hill City defenders along the way. Under 7 minutes to play. Close to the first down line to gain, but it'll be 2nd and short. All throughout this ball game on 2nd down and short, like 2 or 1, we've seen Stanley County air it out, trying to take shots, and then if it's unsuccessful, try to pick up the first down. Not a lot of room here inside the red zone, so they'll hand to Whit Myers. Myers trying to get the edge. Steps away from one tackler. That would have been a loss of yardage had Allen Harvey been able to hang on, but the powerful lower half of Whit Myers steps through the tackle and up for the first down. And we've got another injured player down on the field, which will send us into an official's timeout. Both teams will head to the sideline. We'll see who it was. As the injured player, both legs kind of facing our way. So we'll take a quick 30-second break. This timeout sponsored by Agtegra on KGFX.
And the Crossing Pub are both conveniently located on Pleasant Drive in Pierre, South Dakota. At the quarter station, grab your favorite hot and cold beverages and snacks while filling your vehicle up with Cenex brand gasoline. The quarter station also features a super tunnel car wash to keep your vehicle sparkling clean. At the Crossing, grab a cold beverage and check out their selection of appetizers while watching the Stanley County Buffaloes and Pierre Governors live on their big screen televisions. Best of luck to all area students from the quarter station and the Crossing.
What if we said...
Out of the injury timeout, it was Whit Myers who was needing some assistance off the field. Looked like he might be dealing with a cramp. It is a warm night, 84 degrees as the sun is set. It was up in the 90s here this afternoon. And on this beautiful new turf, that sun will radiate and keep around a little bit of heat. So not surprised we might be seeing some cramps. Out of the timeout, Acres Ahead can maximize your farm's earning potential straight from the start. Contact your local Agtegra cooperative today. Stanley County trailing by 8, but inside the red zone at the 13-yard line, 1st and 10. 6:30 to play. Another under center snap for Bryant Zabe. Gets behind Hofteaser and carries it in for the score. When all else fails, give it to the Dozer and let him clear a little dirt, and he finds pay dirt on the carry. It's a 13-yard touchdown, scores Zabe's 3rd of the night, and a huge 2-point conversion upcoming. 20-18 on our Wegner Auto scoreboard. Stanley County has been 0 for 2 on 2-point tries tonight. And we'll see what play they have drawn up. They're back again on the left hash. They went to the air the first time, unsuccessful. Went to the ground the second time and got stonewalled. Zabe in the shotgun. Direct snap. Takes it off the right edge. And Zabe is going to find a little bit of a crease and turn on the speed for the score. Tied up at 20. Stanley County's fired up, and rightfully so. And what an answer back from the Buffaloes. They had to punt on their first drive out of the halftime break. Allen Harvey took it 55 yards for the score. Hill City would miss the extra point, keeping it an 8-1 possession ball game, and a beautiful drive put together by Brian Zabe and the Buffaloes leads them down the field for the score. Officially 80 yards total on the drive, 13 yards for Zabe, and the 2-point try. Bryant Zabe doing it on the ground, getting behind his offensive lineman, in a piece that might be overlooked as Whit Myers was not on the field for that 2-point try. He's been huge, not only carrying the rock, but also blocking, and without Myers out there, relying on some other bodies, and they get it done. So Stanley County able to answer right back. Carson Bourne will tee it sideways as he balances it. After that Mason Bueller touchdown on the opening kickoff, it's been all squibs since, and Mason Bueller is not out on the field to return. He's been dealing with an injury after that Allen Harvey drive. He was down on the turf for some time as Carson Bourne kicks it. This one beautifully fielded on the first hop. That looked like a Derek Jeter shortstop stab over there on the far side. And there to field that was Blake Winter. And Blake Winter, a junior who doesn't get much chance to touch the football. He's an offensive and a defensive lineman. Shows Brett Eckert something, saying, hey, man, I can make some hands plays too. That was not an easy kick to field. When you set it up sideways like Carson Bourne does, you can put some serious English on the football. And that one was a bullet kick, bounced once, and Winter had to play it. It wasn't exactly a Sunday hop, but he played it into the chest and made a great little catch there. And by the way, we have to make sure that we clear the name of John Bowes. He did not lose his cleat earlier. It was Gunnar Schreiber, the freshman. And I bet Gunnar told me a false name because he knew I was going to shout him out. So Gunnar Schreiber, you are the freshman of the game. John Bowes actually nearly jumped on a loose ball on the onside kick. So Bowes has his cleats and almost had a loose ball. But Stanley County tying it up at 20 apiece after the officials' timeout. Ball on the 49-yard line is where Hill City will start. And I have to imagine we likely won't see Mason Bueller again in this ball game after he had to deal with that injury. He was hobbling a little bit coming out of the end of the first half. It was Colt Eckert to take 2 straight drives at quarterback. Nothing worked on the offensive side of the ball. Bueller was able to toss it out to Allen Harvey on that 55-yard touchdown run. But that's the play he was ultimately injured on, and now it looks like Colt Eckert's ball game the rest of the way. Eckert will line up in the shotgun. Allen Harvey to his right, and this feels again like it might be the Allen Harvey game from here on out. Stanley County with 1 down lineman, Jax Hofteaser and Jacob Meyer both standing on the edges. Eckert takes the snap, gives to Harvey. Roseland meets him in the gap, and he stood up after a half-yard gain. And now with Mason Bueller out of the ball game, it feels like it's advantage Stanley County. If you can just eliminate the ground game, which is easier said than done with this potent Hill City offense, and you feel like you might be able to strike back when you get the ball. Offside, and that's going to be Avon Angel. He and Carson Bourne were in that encroachment area. So free 5 yards, and Carson Bourne getting stretched out by his teammate Joe Malm here on the near side. Hill City moving from left to right. Eckert in the pistol set, got Allen Harvey behind him. Eckert takes a snap, option to the left side. Allen Harvey finding a little space, bowling over a defender. It's Jace Hand who's able to make the tackle go it low, but inside the 40 go the Rangers. He's able to get it down to the 38. Ball in the left hash. Eckert eyes over to the sideline, gets one final signal, and they get another offside. It's Avon Angel back-to-back in between plays, offside penalties. And now Angel will head to the sideline. He's going to be subbed out. And coming in is Seth Cronin. Avon Angel has made some big plays tonight. However, you got to make sure you go when the ball's snapped, not on the hard count. Can't be affording to give these free penalties. And now Hill City well within field goal range for Logan Street. Another thing you got to keep in the back of your mind, something you don't often think about in nine-man football, is a kicker like Logan Street who can boot it from just about anywhere inside the 45. He was good for nearly 50 last week, and on turf, you'd think he can get a little bit more. In the pistol again, they'll give to Harvey up the middle. He's going to be stonewalled at the point of attack. Couple purple jerseys. And another Ranger down on the field, and it's another captain, Drew Almer, writhing in pain right at the line of scrimmage. So the last thing you want to see if you're Hill City, some of your premier players going down with apparent injuries. And Drew Almer will be checked on. We'll step away. Back in a half minute. 2020 ball game, 4:53 to play in the third quarter.
Access Health.
Bank isn't a place to lock up money. It's a place to set it free. What if the point of banking wasn't to bank at all, but to put your ideas to work? What if your bank asked, what if, a little more? Well, what if we told you we do? We're American Bank and Trust, where what if meets why not? If you're ready to change what you get out of banking, start a relationship with us. What if you made the move today?
Do you have
Well, Drew Almer being helped to his feet slowly, really favoring that right leg. That's a sad sight to see. You lose your junior quarterback, Mason Bueller, and now for the moment losing your senior lineman, Drew Almer, who cannot put any weight on that right foot. And it's such a shame, such a good game. Starting to see some injuries come about for both sides, so we hope for the best for Drew Almer as he's helped to the sideline. And, well, call a spade a spade. It doesn't look good. And you hate that for anybody, but especially a senior, a captain. We told you earlier the way that Eckert finds his captains. He asks his players two questions. Who display the best and highest amount of character? And with 20 seconds on the clock, who do you want with the game on the line and the ball in their hands? And two of those guys that the team selected are out of the ball game right now. So Hill City dealing with that. They've got a 2nd down and 5 upcoming, under 5 minutes to play here in the third quarter. Colt Eckert in the shotgun. Stanley County showing pressure, and they bring it. Option to the right side. Eckert tosses it out. Allen Harvey cuts it through. Joe Malm wanted a holding penalty, didn't get it. And the tackle is made on the edge inside the red zone. Whit Myers on the tackle, and a late flag comes flying in. There was some extracurricular taking place. And speaking of injuries, Jace Hand back behind the play. 4:26, ball on the 19-yard line, it looks like. We'll see what the penalty is. And it looks like the head official, Royce Workser, holding court with a couple Stanley County Buffaloes. That's either to ask them how they want this penalty assessed or explaining why they were the guilty party. And if you're Stanley County, you hope for the first of those two options as Jace Hand gets worked on by the Avera medical team. And Stanley County, the way that their body language signals, it looks like this will be against Hill City. Jace Hand hobbling off, looked like he was getting a cramp worked out. And it looks like this was a little bit of jawing, maybe a push after the play by Allen Harvey. It'll be an unsportsmanlike conduct play. It will be first down after the carry. And, if you're Stanley County's defense at this point, with Colt Eckert having a bit of issue throwing the football, you got one guy you really have to worry about taking away, and that's Alan Harvey. If Colt Eckert's going to beat you on the ground or with his arm, so be it if you're Max Foth. But Alan Harvey has been the one that has kind of given you so much issue, or so many issues, that is, throughout the night. He has got to be the key point on defense. 1st and 10 after the penalty, moves the ball back to the 30. Hill City still in Stanley County territory, tied up at 20 with 4:15 left in the third quarter. Alan Harvey will shift from Eckert's left to his right. Eckert takes the low snap, quarterback carry all the way, now cutting it back to the weak side. He bounces off a tackler, stays on his feet, and makes the broadcaster eat his words, showing some toughness there. Colt Eckert on the carry picks up 5. Jacob Meyer in there for the tackle, but Colt Eckert with the toughness cuts this yardage needed to pick up the first down in half. Ball now on the left hash. Eckert in the shotgun, moves a man in motion. 2 receivers off to Eckert's right. Takes the snap, option again. They'll toss it out to Harvey. Ball's on the turf. Jacob Meyer looks like he might have jumped on top of it, but they'll say that Hill City was able to recover. Near disaster for the Rangers. And they had that option pinged perfectly. Not much space to work with over on that side of the field. The ball was already on the left hash, trying to run the option that way. A lot of bodies in the area. And Eckert had to toss it at the last second. There was no good option there for Eckert because Stanley County had that pinged perfectly. As we said, Jacob Meyer was in the vicinity. You had Bryant Zabe, or Joe Malm rather, over there playing the option man. Now 3rd and 9. Eckert back to pass, and he loses the football, picks it up himself, steps through a couple tacklers, and he's finally walloped on the back end by Whit Myers. Stanley County had him dead to rights. 2 defensemen in the backfield, and they couldn't jump on the loose ball, and Colt Eckert almost scrambled for the first down. That would have been enough to make Stanley County, Max Foth split his Stanley County headset in half. But they get the stop needed. It's 4th and 3 in Logan Street, on to attempt the 40-yard field goal. This is his first true field goal attempt of the evening. He missed his last extra point. Ball in the left hash. Snap is low. Eckert holds, and the kick is blocked. It started with an errant snap. Colt Eckert did well to field it and place it, but it was all out the window there. Logan Street kicked it low in a line drive into the Stanley County defensive line, and the Buffaloes come up with a massive stop. 1:58 left to play in the third quarter. And another Stanley County turnover forced by their defense. And they've had some huge defensive plays come up at the biggest of times. So Bryant Zabe, with 1:58 left here in the third, will start at his own 18-yard line. Shotgun snap, handed off to Myers. Myers cuts it back, dancing through tacklers, stiff-arming a man as he forces his way for a short gain. Good tackle there defensively by Colin Jobjan. Jobjan's had a big day on defense. 2 interceptions, a couple big tackles. But to say the momentum has swung back for Stanley County would be an understatement. Zabe in the shotgun. He's got 3 receivers stacked over to the right. Send one here near side. Carson Bourne will get lined up just on top of the 20-yard line marked out on the field. Zabe will take the snap, looking back, wants to throw for Carson Bourne. He's got him, and he steps out of a tackler that got by the block of Jace Hand. Now traversing across the field, steps across the 30, and a little bit of magic made by Carson Bourne. He was right in the crosshairs of Owen Exie in the backfield. Jace Hand couldn't hold up the block. And, for Jace Hand, that's a long time to hold up that block. Third time we've seen that play where the whole offense starts to move to the right and then throws back near side. And Carson Bourne, who's been getting beat like a drum out there, but has been taking all the shots and making big plays, will come to the sideline to catch a breather. 1st and 10, Stanley County. Carson Bourne able to get him past the 35. Zabe will take the snap, fakes the throw to the left side, and pulls it down and runs it to the right. Into Hill City territory goes Bryant Zabe, past the 50 down to the 48. Ronish able to track him down, but Stanley County continues on the move. Now, this has been how essentially all of the Stanley County offensive drives have started in this ball game. It's been turnovers, it's been penalties that have stalled them out. They've been able to score on 3 of these long drives, looking to make it a 4th. Final 33 seconds of this third quarter. Wait to see Carson Bourne back in the game for the Buffaloes. From the shotgun, Zabe takes the snap. Design quarterback keep across the 40. Sidesteps a tackler, and he's wrapped down and wasted at the 36. But another first down carry by Bryant Zabe. They'll mark him out of bounds at the 35. They'll whistle the clock to start again, so that means Bryant Zabe was taken down in playing territory. 20 seconds. We'll see if Stanley County wants to try to get one more play here before the 4th and final quarter. Jace Hand standing to the right of Zabe. Joe Malm, Whit Myers, the receivers to the left. Carson Bourne and Jack Deal off to the right. 3-man offensive line and a whistle and a flag. Now we've got a false start by Stanley County with 1 tick left on the Wegner Auto scoreboard. Had to have been either Whit Myers or Joe Malm on the false start penalty, and those are those drive killers we talk about. And with the whistle, we come to the end of the third quarter. I know you won't, but don't touch that dial. What a game we've got going here on KGFX. Our Friday night game of the night has us tied at 20 through 3 quarters. Stanley County will start from the Hill City 41 with 12 minutes to play when we return. You're listening to Stanley County High School football live on KGFX and streaming live on drgnews.com.
A new pair of jeans or a favorite shirt with a small tear or hole? Or your winter coat has a broken zipper? Don't throw them away. Call Lila Briggs Sewing and Embroidery in Fort Pierre to have your items fixed as good as new. They also provide hemming, other sewing services, as well as custom embroidery for a truly professional look and design. Lila Briggs Sewing and Embroidery is a proud supporter of all Stanley County school activities and wishes the student athletes the best of luck in the school year.
Sponsor high school sports and the surrounding community by providing class service with a hometown touch. Venture Communications has been offering phone service since 1952. Today, Venture provides fiber to home service for 100% of their customers, which means super fast internet streaming of your favorite games and much more. Visit VentureCom with 2 M's, venturecom.net for more information or to pay your bill online.
Well, the sellout crowd has been treated to a good one here at Ole Williamson Field. There's even folks out in the parking lot enjoying this one here tonight. We've even got listeners from all around the country, as far down as Atlanta, Georgia on Lake Burton. It's a 20-20 tie as we get into the fourth quarter here. Stanley County on offense after a false start. They're faced with a 1st and 15. And Bryant Zabe alone in the backfield. Looking to put together a big drive, and Zabe will carry it off to the left side. Back to the original line of scrimmage. Stutter steps, protects the football as he crosses the 30. And Zabe gets the penalty yardage back and a lot more. It's a 11-yard pickup there. And a 2nd down and much more manageable here coming for the Buffalo offense. Well, Stanley County did everything right defensively. They were able to stall out and stave off a long drive by Hill City and then block a Logan Street field goal. That drive started at deep in their own territory at about the 13-yard line. They've gotten it inside the Hill City 30. Two pulling guards. Zabe pump fakes the throw to the left, now pulls it down, steps out of one tackler, uses his speed up the sideline and barrels through the final line of defense. And it's a first down, running over a Hill City defensive lineman that took the brunt of that force. Jesse Ortiz there to make the tackle. But not before he got tagged by Bryant Zabe, and it's 1st and 10 at the 22. All still on the left hash. Max Foth calling the plays from the sideline. We haven't seen a Stanley County huddle yet this evening. Zabe will go back under center, a spot we rarely see him. Joe Malm fakes the jet sweep, kept by Zabe. Hill City read that one beautifully. They've seen that a time or two tonight, and they weren't fooled yet again. It's a modest gain, maybe gets one. Second down and 8, gain of 2. Kyler Gabriel will come off the field. First start on the offensive line for Kyler Gabriel tonight. He assumed Jax Hofteaser's position, who has been moved to center and done a fantastic job. Looks like a spot that he really belongs. Darson Bourne will motion over to the left receiver position. Zabe in the shotgun, takes a snap, rolling out right. Looking downfield, wants to throw, now pulls it down across the 15 as he's twisted past the first down marker, down to the 11-yard line, and it'll be 1st down and 10. Stanley County knocking on the door yet again. If you're Max Foth, you feel like you've got to punch this one in here with 10-10 remaining in the ball game. If you take the lead, you feel like your defense is starting to key on what Hill City wants to do, and that's get Allen Harvey the ball in the absence of Mason Bueller. Zabe in the shotgun again, snap to his left. He's able to knock it down and pick it up, but that play's going nowhere. Lucky to just get that thing back to the line of scrimmage. Ori Ronish will get in on the tackle for Hill City. It'll bring up 2nd down and 10 after no gain. Kind of just started to lean on Bryant Zabe here in the second half. They have not been throwing the ball deep as they tried to do in the first 2 quarters. It's been getting great blocking up front. Hill City's going to stack up the middle of the offensive and defensive lines. Able to fake the run. Now floated up top. Whit Myers looking for the catch, and a flag's going to come out. It'll be pass interference in the end zone against the Rangers. And we'll set up 1st and goal from the 2 for Stanley County. A triple fake, if you will. Bryant Zabe took the shotgun snap, faked the throw to his right, and then he faked the quarterback keeper and then decided to float it up into double coverage. It was a little bit underthrown, but that actually benefited Stanley County as Whit Myers had to come back to the ball. And he was wrapped up by Colin Jobjan, who drew the penalty, and instead they're going to mark this down at the 5. So 2nd down and 5, and now we got a whistle, and they were trying to reset the game clock. Stanley County was going too quick. Would have thought for certain with that penalty occurring in the end zone, it would have set up Stanley County closer to the goal line, but I guess they'll say it was a hold. So now 2nd down and 4. They got to get to the 1-yard line to pick up the 1st down. They'll go back to the ground game. Zabe with the keep up the middle. Another flag flies in, and penalties continuing to mount up. Zabe got in for the score, but this one's coming back. And another drive-killing type of penalty. It's a hold against the Buffaloes' offensive line, and now everything kind of gets reframed. It'll be 2nd down and about 14. When they move this one back, they've placed it at the 15-yard line, and obviously 4-down territory. I don't think we'll see Stanley County attempt a field goal all year. Again, to get to the first down marker, you got to get to the 1. Ball at the 15, Zabe in the shotgun. Zabe takes the snap, tosses it to the left. Myers looking for a gap, steps through one, wrapped up around the ankle, and he'll twist and dive forward towards the original first line of scrimmage. It'll bring up a 3rd and about 11. Jobjan in on the tackle. They'll mark him just inside the 12. A long drive that has taken a lot of gas out of the tank of the Hill City defense. Both teams with all 3 timeouts remaining. 8:19 to play in the ball game. 3rd and a long 10. Zabe takes the snap, rolls out left, looks, fires, got Carson Bourne here on the near side. It was another backwards pass that was read perfectly by Hill City. He'll be wrapped up and dropped at the 15-yard line. And a 4th and 10 with under 8 minutes to play. And now Max Foth has to go deep into the bag to try to figure out a play that can get his Buffaloes into the end zone. You might think of using a timeout, but you want to keep all 3 for late in this ball game, and Max Foth won't have to go into his pocket. 10 seconds now on the play clock. Got to get this one snapped. Foth keeping his eye on it. 5 to snap it. Everybody kind of lethargically getting to their spot. And this was nearly whistled for a delay of game, but Zabe gets the snap off. Throw over the top for Myers. It's tipped. It's incomplete, and it's a turnover on downs. So a promising drive comes to a screeching halt after a couple Stanley County penalties. And Hill City will take over with 7:21 remaining at their own 15-yard line, and it'll be up to Colt Eckert to try to get the Rangers in field goal position. And that's one of the huge advantages of having a weapon like Logan Street. If you can put together a drive, waste some time off the clock. Of course, as we mentioned, both teams with all timeouts, so Stanley County can stop the clock. But you know you're probably not going to get it done through the air too often without Mason Bueller back there throwing the ball around. But to the advantage of Hill City, they've been great on the ground. If they can waste some clock, they could essentially set up Logan Street with a game-winning field goal. But there's a lot of time left. 7:21 on our Wegner Auto scoreboard. Eckert will line up in the pistol. And we've got a timeout taken by Brett Eckert and Hill City. Play clock was down around 1, and he was able to get the Agtegra timeout just off in time. Acres ahead can maximize your farm's earning potential straight from the start. Contact your local Agtegra cooperative today. We'll be back in 30 seconds. Good one going here on KGFX and DRGnews.com.
Each day brings the opportunity to make a difference, to follow through with integrity, to solve challenges through innovative thinking, and to bring the technical know-how needed to get the job done. At Wilbur Ellis, this is how we work, standing side by side as local experts who partner with the stewards of the land. We do it together. That's the power of we.
Timeout. Brett Eckert talks it over with his offense, who starts at the 15. 7:21 remaining in the fourth quarter. Hello, everybody. Justin Cowart, thrilled to have you with us for a barn burner on KGFX. 1st and 10. Colt Eckert going to throw it over the middle, and this one just a bit too far out of the reach from Brody Moriarty. Colt Eckert had plenty of time, but well covered on the back end. Jack Deal over the top, and step in step was Carson Bourne with Moriarty. What a dangerous weapon Brody Moriarty is, the 6'4 senior. So that'll bring up 2nd and 10. Every time I've said, Colt Eckert may not be able to do this or may not be able to do that, he's proved me wrong each and every time. Good throw there, just a little bit too far out in front of his senior receiver. This one bounced to him at his feet. He picks it up, and he runs right into a purple wall. And there on the tackle, Jacob Meyer. able to stuff him at the line of scrimmage. Gain of about a half yard. That'll be a gain of 1, 3rd and 9. A little bit of movement going on. Everybody looking down at the play on the wristband. 10 seconds. Eckert takes the snap. Pressure immediately in his face. Throws off the back foot just a bit high for his intended receiver, Colin Jobjan. And that'll bring up 4th and 9. And some more cramping happening. Chase Hand, who has been cramping seemingly this whole evening, will have to fall back down to his back again and get worked out by his teammates and soon the Avera medical staff. So the Hill City punt team will come out after they tend to the injured Buffalo. We'll be back in 30 seconds here on KGFX.
With Dakota Plains Federal Credit Union's new online and mobile banking features, you can apply for a loan anytime, anywhere. Send and receive secure messages with our team and manage your debit or credit card with ease. Plus, enjoy seamless digital wallet compatibility. Tap, pay, and go with confidence. Your money, your control, your convenience. Download the app today and experience the future of banking. Safe, simple, and always with you. All deposits are insured up to $250,000 by NCUA.
Stanley County dealing with a little bit of an injury bug, but it's all seeming to be cramps here. Hello, everybody. Justin Cowart, thrilled to have you with us. What a game this has been as we're tied at 20, 6:32 to go. And Stanley County seemingly will get the ball back. They were able to stop the Rangers and force a 4th and 9. Some good pressure up front by the Buffalo's defensive line as Jace Hand able to walk off under his own power with a bit of a hobble. A lot of cramping seemingly tonight. Unfortunately for Hill City, they've lost 2 of their key players. Mason Bueller went out of the game after the 55-yard touchdown run from Allen Harvey. And on the following drive, it looked like they lost Drew Almer, who's got the shoulder pads off and was unable to put weight on his right leg. So we hope for the best for both of those 2 guys that mean so much to this team. Back to return this punt is Jack Deal. Logan Street on to kick. Gets it away, nearly blocked. But he gets away a beauty that forces Deal to backpedal. He'll let it bounce at the 49. It'll take a Stanley County tumble after bouncing at the 45 and then mark it down at the Buffalo 47. So now the Buffalo offense, who was able to get it inside the red zone on the last drive, but a penalty forced a 3rd down and long and then a 4th down and long. They tried to throw it into the end zone, but it was batted away, incomplete. We'll look for that success here. And the way that the Stanley County offense operates, you feel like if you can methodically move it down the field, you might be able to score and leave essentially no time for the Rangers offense. But you got to do just that. You've got to score. Saban the shotgun, 2 receivers to the right. Takes a snap up the middle. Got some positive yards as he gets it inside Ranger territory on the top of the Buffalo logo. He's taken down at the 46-yard line. This drive started at the Stanley County 47. And the first play will get it to the Hill City 47. 2nd down and about 4. And one thing to remember, Brett Eckert had to use one of his 3 Agtegra timeouts in that last offensive drive to avoid a delay of game. This is a high snap fielded by Zabe, but he's met by 4 Hill City jerseys. And it's these self-inflicted wounds that continue to tag the Buffaloes. Errant snaps, penalties, turnovers that are just drive killers. And this will be a loss of about 9 yards. And they go back into their own side of the 50 at the 45. 3rd down and 12 upcoming. Haven't had much success airing it out over the middle of the field in the deeper parts of this defense. We'll see where they go with it here. Pressure coming off the left side. Zabe eludes a blitzer. Now rolls out to his left. Got some ground to work with. He's going to try to get it with his legs across the 50. He's forced out of bounds at the 48. And now the decision comes for Max Foth. Their offense in Hill City hasn't been able to find much production without Mason Bueller. Do you punt this away with your timeouts and pin them deep, or do you try to roll the dice? With a kicker like Logan Street, you have to think the smart play is to punt this away. You need 5 yards, maybe 6. And the offense is going to stay out on the field. So Max Foth rolling the dice. Got to get to the 43-yard line. Opting not to try to play the field position game. Going to keep the pedal to the metal. Zabe in the shotgun, takes the snap, rolling right, under pressure. He gets it stripped away, and they're able to jump on top of it. Will the Buffaloes? It's Whit Myers on the fumble recovery. But Stanley County will turn it over to Hill City at the Buffalo 45. And now you're just a first down away from putting Hill City in field goal territory because, as we mentioned all night, Logan Street, who's got one of the strongest legs, maybe the strongest leg outside of the kicker from Warner in the state of South Dakota. And with 4:54 to play, Hill City just needs a little bit of positive yardage to get inside Logan Street's territory. And if Hill City ends up winning this ball game, this will be something that Max Foth has asked about. Stanley County's defense has been great. They need another stop here. Hill City will start with the option. Going to turn, tossed back at the last second to Allen Harvey, and now he's got tons of grass to work with. A backyard football play will end up being a gain of 8. They had Colt Eckert wrapped up at the 49-yard line. He was standing there, and we do have a penalty marker down. He was wrapped up and just kind of tossed it in the direction of Allen Harvey, who was back behind him. Harvey caught the toss and took it for 8. And we've got a blindside block against Hill City. Helmet to helmet, and that is a huge infraction against the Rangers because now you turn a pickup inside the 40 down to the 37 in Stanley County territory, and now it's set up at the Hill City 45. Yeah, just a backyard football play if I've ever seen one. One of those where it's just last-ditch effort. Stanley County had it played perfectly. First down and 20 now. Eckert in the shotgun, takes the snap, fires quickly. That one deflected at the line by Jax Hofteaser as it flails down to the turf, incomplete. So second down and 20, ball smack dab in the middle of the field. 4:24 left in the fourth quarter. Hill City attacking from right to left. In the pistol, Eckert takes the snap, fakes the toss, and he's dropped at the line of scrimmage. Another nice play by Jax Hofteaser, who makes an impact play on back-to-back snaps. Tipped the last throw and now makes the stop on Colt Eckert. Hill City's got to get to the Stanley County 35 to move the chains. They're in their own territory at the 45. Under 4 minutes left to play here in the game. 3 receivers off to the left of Eckert. He rolls this way. Looking downfield, under pressure, fires quickly and through the hands of his intended target. Brody Moriarty, who had to jump up into the air to try to catch that pass along the near sideline. He had it in his grips, but it slipped through as Carson Bourne and Jack Deal applied the contact, and the punting unit coming on for Hill City. Man, how the ebbs and flows of this game go. Looks like Allen Harvey was going to be able to get him close and certainly inside field goal range on the 1st and 10 play, but a helmet-to-helmet hit. And now the Rangers are punting, and this one goes up the elevator shaft. This barely gets past the line of scrimmage, takes a Stanley County bounce back across the 50 and rolls down to the Hill City 44. This is actually going to register in negative punt yards. punt went straight up into the night sky, bounced at the Stanley County 46, and then just got shot out of a cannon back towards the line of scrimmage and came to rest at the Hill City 45. So essentially the punt is now placed right where the snap was taken for Stanley County's offense. I don't think I've ever seen that before. But Stanley County will start inside Ranger territory. Zabe takes the snap, gets a block, dives across the 40 down to the 39. Jojen in on the tackle, gain of 6 on first down. Stanley County at the muddle huddle. Kyler Gabriel checking into the ball game for Carson Bourne. Ball on the right hash. 3 down lineman for Hill City. Zabe takes the snap, hands off to Myers. Myers has the edge on the left, across the 35, spins, stays on his feet. An acrobatic carry from Whit Myers has him down to the 26. All of those running drills, all the contact practice that they've done the past couple of weeks paying off for Whit Myers as he stumbled and rumbled across the 30. And we've got another cramping Buffalo on his back. But my goodness, highlight reel type of stuff from Whit Myers as we have officially 3 minutes to play in the fourth quarter. Stanley County on the move again. They'll tend to the injured Stanley County player. We'll be back after this Agtegra timeout on KGFX.
Agriculture is like no other business, which makes Farm Credit Services of America like no other lender. Owned by the farmers and ranchers we serve, our customers have a voice in how we work, a stake in what we do, and share in our success. Discover a lender that works for you at Farm Credit Services of America.
WindCircle, operating since 1995. We combine quality customer service and experience with the right technology to meet your needs. Our cybersecurity certified technicians will make sure your systems are secure. Services offered are video and data cabling, service and support contracts, cutting-edge camera systems to door security devices. WindCircle has many
on the field for both sides. Hill City tending to an injured Ranger in their team's huddle, and Stanley County with a down player out on the field after the play. We do imagine it's cramps. I mean, it is hot, but we need to get these guys some pickle juice before next week. Looking ahead to next week, both of these teams have big games. New Underwood will be the opponent for Hill City. Stanley County going down to Bennett County. And a tough stretch of ball games coming up for the Buffaloes. Bennett County 0-1 on the season, but that loss came to Wall in the form of a 40-32 final score. Then they'll play Lee Deadwood, whose first game is coming up tonight. Well, it's probably over by now against Wall. And then after that, you're home against Parkston, who beat this Hill City team 52-24. You go to Gregory. That loss to Kimball White Lake 52-8. And it's Platte Geddes and Kimball White Lake right here. A couple of tough ball games to close out the season. But back to the field. 3 minutes to play here. Fourth quarter tied up at 20. First and 10 for the Buffaloes. Zabe going under center. Heavy package to the right. Snap goes through the legs of Zabe. He's able to turn around and field it. Trying to scamper out to the right side. And he's going to be wrapped up and dropped. And we'll see where they mark him. It's been a couple times that Zabe has had to find a loose ball down around his feet. Clock continuing to run. And Max Foth fine with that. You can continue to waste this clock. You've got all 3 timeouts, and it looks like Max Foth will probably use one of those Agtegra timeouts coming up here. That injured Buffalo, by the way, was Whit Myers. He has been dealing with a cramp, it seems like, every single drive. So they're getting him some fluids. And as we take it down closer to 2 minutes to play, and Max Foth will use his first Agtegra timeout. 2:08 officially left on our Wegner Auto scoreboard. Timeout sponsored by Agtegra. Acres ahead can maximize your farm's earning potential straight from the start. Contact your local Agtegra cooperative today. We'll take it with them 2:08 left in the fourth quarter. Don't go anywhere, folks. Stanley County going to try to put away the Hill City Rangers here on what could be the final drive of this ball game and the first win of the season for Stanley County. Both of these teams looking to end up in the win column. Only one will do it. 2:08 and, dare I say, regulation here on KGFX and DRGnews.com.
Hardware options: Dell, HP, Cisco, SonicWall, and Ruckus, to name a few. Our staff has over 30 years of combined network design and cabling experience at your disposal. Call us today, 605-224-1111, and request a free quote. Again, that's 605-224-1111.
When life dents your day, trust Mark and the team that's been making things right for over 30 years. At Quality Body Shop, they're locally owned, honest, fair, and reliable. The kind of hometown service you can count on. From small scratches to major collision repairs, they treat every vehicle like it's their own, with quality workmanship and attention to detail. Quality Body Shop. Quality repairs from people you trust. Stop by or call today and see why generations of local drivers choose Quality Body Shop.
Side quarterback keep the whole way up the gut, pulling his head down, pummeling ahead. It'll be a gain of 5 and a third down, and just that 5 yards coming up. Under 2 minutes we go, and now the clock game starts to begin. Again, Stanley County does not have a field goal kicker that we know of. So if they're going to win this ball game, it's going to have to come here on this drive on the ground or through the air. They have to get it into the end zone. 95 seconds remaining, clock ticking away on the Wegner Auto scoreboard. Game of the year type stuff happening at Ole Williamson Field. Zabe calls for the snap, looking left, going to fire that way for Carson Bourne, who comes back and gets it, crosses the 15, sheds a tackler at the 10, and he's going to walk it in for the score. Carson Bourne, how do you do? Stanley County out in front with 1:15 to play. He has done so much off the field for moments like this on it. Carson Bourne with potentially the game-winning touchdown makes it 26-20. Eluded 3 separate tacklers for Hill City and makes potentially the play of the game. 2-point conversion upcoming, which could potentially be huge and take Logan Street out of the equation on an extra point if Hill City can go the distance. Zabel set up on the left hash. And now a whistle and a timeout taken by Max Foth. First score of this fourth quarter. Max Foth will get his guys together to talk about it. That touchdown play going for about 14 yards. There was a little out route from Carson Bourne on the far side of the field. Cornerback was playing with some soft coverage, so it allowed Bourne to get out into the flat, make the catch, and when he received the ball, he actually came back towards the middle of the field, stepped away from the first tackler, danced around another, and then found a little bit of daylight and was able to sprint it in. And now the upcoming 2-point conversion for Stanley County to make it an 8-point lead. Zabe all by himself. He's got Jace Hand at the right tight end position and Whit Myers on the wing. Zabe takes a low snap, pump fakes the throw, up the gut and in. 28-20, Stanley County takes the 8-point lead, and Max Foth is fired up. And now 1:15 left for Hill City to try to put an offensive drive together. Again, I know many folks tuning in now, seeing this late score. Hill City is without their starting quarterback, Mason Bueller. They relied on Colt Eckert. Colt's put some good throws down the field. He just hasn't been able to connect with any of his receivers. And now the question is, after that initial kickoff where Stanley County kicked it deep and Bueller took it the distance for a opening touchdown score. They've gone to the squib kick each and every time. And if you're Carson Bourne and this special teams unit, do you dare try to kick it deep to play the field position game, or do you squib it again? We'll see what they opt to do. Bourne has teed it up sideways. That's our first inkling that this will be a squib. I think if you're Foth, just kick it as far as you can across the turf. This will bounce a couple times through the hands of one special teams player for Hill City. And diving on top of it for the Rangers. And securing the loose ball was Conrad Tyler. It gets all the way back to the Hill City 41. And with 1:13 remaining, that's where Colt Eckert and the Rangers will begin this drive. So Eckert jogging from the Rangers sideline into the huddle. 2 timeouts remaining for Hill City. 1 left for Stanley County. And when Brett Eckert had to use that timeout to avoid the delay game penalty, that timeout would come up big here in the pistol. Eckert takes the snap, going to roll and look downfield. He's under pressure. He's going to be covered up and dropped in the backfield for a sack. Avon Angel, with the biggest play of his Stanley County career, gets the first down sack and the second timeout used by Hill City. How about Avon Angel stepping up in a big moment? You feel so proud for this kid who was the starting center last week, had some issues on the snap, just a sophomore, kind of thrust into the position. He was moved off the offensive line. Jax Hofteaser took over in his center role. And he's been solely on the defensive line. He's had a couple offsides penalties here tonight, but he has made up for it big time with some big plays, supplying pressure. And there, a huge sack of Colt Eckert that brings Hill City all the way back to their own 34. Agtegra timeouts remind you that Acres Ahead can maximize your farm's earning potential straight from the start. Contact your local Agtegra cooperative today. So Eckert will line up in the shotgun. He's got 3 receivers off to his right, 1 man in the wing. That's Alan Harvey. 1:06 left on the Wegner Auto scoreboard. Eckert rolling out to his right. Able to get the edge, now throwing downfield, and that's complete. Colin Jobjan on the receiving end. They get it back to the 40-yard line. This will set up 3rd down and 11. Jobjan was able to get out of bounds, preserve the timeout, 1 tick under a minute to go. Up to the line quickly. Eckert awaits, takes the snap, looking to his left, pump fakes, under pressure again, and he's dropped for another sack. Jax Hofteaser in on the play, as was Avon Angel, and now bad news for Stanley County as Jax Hofteaser is on his back, and this one doesn't look like a cramp. Hofteaser, a guy that has dealt with so many injuries in his young career, mostly to his knee, has had to sit out the entirety of last season on the football side, played a big role in the state championship run for the Stanley County Buffaloes basketball program, but again, dealt with knee injuries there, but he's quickly helped back to his feet. And it looks like he's nursing an abdomen potential injury as he's holding just the spot underneath those numbers. Max Foth pulling his entire team and his coaching staff together with his defense. And now if you're Brett Eckert, 4th down, 14 to go. Trying to keep this game alive. Got to come up with your best play here. Eckert will stand alone in the backfield. Everybody spread out for the Rangers. Stanley County showing pressure, and they bring it. Eckert heaves downfield over the middle. It falls incomplete, and Stanley County will get the turnover on downs and will be able to put down a knee and secure their first win of 2026. Pass was intended for Braylon Ron, And Ron had his step, but Eckert, under an immense amount of pressure, heaved it as far as he possibly could, and it just came up a couple yards short. And now it's time for victory formation for Stanley County. Max Foth will take an Agtegra timeout. He's got one. He doesn't want to bring it home with him. Acres ahead can maximize your farm's earning potential straight from the start. Contact your local Agtegra cooperative today. Stick around for the post-game show. We'll recap this thriller of a Friday night matchup here. We'll look at some scores from around the state. And, of course, our Bauman Lumber Player of the Game will be handed out. This one's going to be tough. And a couple deserving recipients for the Player of the Game t-shirt sponsored by Bauman Lumber. So the offensive Stanley County out on the field. Rangers defense coming off the sideline. Brett Eckert talking with Carson Kolb. They'll line up in the victory formation. Zabe under center. Takes the knee. And that should do it. Stanley County will come to the sideline. Play clock at 30. 22 seconds left on the game clock. And we'll see if Brett Eckert opts to use his final Agtegra timeout. Doesn't look like it. Final couple seconds wasting away on the Wegner Auto scoreboard. And Stanley County is going to get the 28-20 win here at home. Their first of the season. And the crowd on their feet celebrating this win for the Buffaloes. They move to 1-1 on the season. Hill City will fall to 0-2. Handshake line at midfield. Stanley County with a gutsy and gritty win here at home. They will go on the road with a victory in their back pocket to Bennett County next week, as Hill City will look for their first victory at home against New Underwood a week from today. We'll be back with the post-game show after this break. Stanley County wins it 28-20 here on KGFX and DRGnews.com. Post-game show coming up next.
At Iverson Auto, our legacy is your trust. Whether you're in Mitchell or in Huron, we embody the values that have defined us for generations. We have been your partner on the road since 1948.
We bring decades of expertise to ensure your journey begins with confidence. Our goal is to turn your visit into a memorable experience, leaving you with a smile and peace of mind.
Iverson Auto of Mitchell and Huron are here to make your car buying experience smooth and enjoyable every step of the way.
Visit us online at iversonauto.com.
Riverview RV Park overlooks Lake Sharp on the Missouri River. They have all the amenities, from full hookups, laundry, showers, dog park, play area, and free Wi-Fi. There's no need to drive across the country. When here in central South Dakota, you can find some of the best fishing and the most spectacular sunrises and sunsets. Call us today at 605-280-6266 or reserve your next camping spot online at briggsrvpark.com. Make Riverview RV Park your home away from home experience.
The Best Western Ramkota Hotel in Rapid City supports all South Dakota student athletes and their families. They are conveniently located off Interstate 90, close to downtown and minutes from the beautiful Black Hills. The Ramkota offers sports and family-friendly rates. Guests can relax for free in the indoor water park. They have 36,000 square feet of banquet and meeting space, and the award-winning Minerva's Restaurant and Bar is located on site. Best Western Ramkota welcomes everyone to beautiful Rapid City, South Dakota.
When you're thinking of a new or used car, motorcycle, pickup, or RV, think of us. We make all sorts of vehicle loans. We can set you up with payments that fit your budget.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back here to Ole Williamson Field. Stanley County on top and victorious for the first time this year. 28-20 the final score, as Max Foth, Herman Fennel, and Damon Hofteaser slowly make their way into the huddle inside the end zone. And this is going to be quite a celebration. Max Foth fired up after that gutty victory And it did not come without a little bit of drama. Let's recap the scoring for you. As things got started in Hill City's favor, really looked like Hill City was going to take this thing from the beginning. It was a 75-yard touchdown kickoff return for Mason Bueller on the first kick of the game. He fielded it. He took it off. Don't even think anybody touched him. He just blitzed through the line and took it to the house to make it 7-0. Stanley County would have to give the ball back to Hill City, and they would bring it down to the 10-yard line, and looked like they might score to go up 14-0. But a fumble forced by the Stanley County defense would give it back to the Buffaloes at the 10-yard line. And Bryant Zabe would lead the Buffaloes on a 90-yard scoring drive. Whit Myers and Carson Bourne with some big plays on that drive. Zabe would cap it off with a 1-yard touchdown run. Unsuccessful 2-point conversion would make it 7-6. And then on the next drive, it was a Jack Deal interception. Ryder Roseland applying some serious pressure up front, forced the floated throw, and Jack Deal able to come down with it. They would go on another long drive, and on a 4th and 3 from the 5-yard line, Bryant Zabe would take it in for the score to make it 12-6. Stanley County again unable to come up with the 2-point conversion. And then it looks like things had shifted in the favor of Stanley County. Hill City was having trouble getting things going on offense, and Stanley County was doing a nice job on their offensive side of the football, able to put some drives together. But a backwards pass to Jack Deal would get jarred free, and Allen Harvey would scoop and score it, making it 14-12 after the successful extra point. And that's when the momentum shifted back in the favor of Hill City. Then in the third quarter, it really looked like things were getting good for Hill City. Allen Harvey with a 55-yard run would take it in for the score. And missed extra point would prove to be big, as Stanley County would keep it a one-possession game. It was 20-12. And then again, Bryant Zabe again on his feet, took it in from 13 yards out to score and tie it up at 20 apiece after a successful 2-point conversion was scored on the legs of Bryant Zabe. Tied at 20 apiece, we saw Mason Bueller go out with an injury on the play where Allen Harvey took it for 55 yards. We'll talk about all of that in a moment. But then a bit of a big moment in this ball game when Hill City got the ball back. They would get the ball inside Stanley County territory after a little backyard football play created by Colt Eckert, who stepped in for Mason Bueller. He was wrapped up back towards midfield just at the last second, tossed it out into the hands of Allen Harvey, who took it about 2 yards short of the line to gain. That was under 5 minutes to play, and the question about that was, what was the decision to be made? You put Hill City in field goal territory, but a helmet-to-helmet contact hit would force Hill City to go back deep into their own territory. A couple of unsuccessful throws would give Stanley County the ball back, and then Bryant Zabe would take Stanley County down the field. Buffaloes would score on about a 15-yard pass to Carson Bourne. When he made a couple Rangers miss, they would convert the 2-point conversion on the back of Bryant Zabe and then hold on for the final 1:15, get the stop they needed, and Stanley County would come up successful and get their first win of the year, 28-20, your final score on the Wegner Auto scoreboard. So now we talk about some of those decisions. With about 4:24 left is when the question remained. Stanley County had it 4th down and about, 10 yards, maybe 8 yards. It was 4th and long for the Buffaloes, and instead of opting to punt with the Hill City quarterback out for the rest of the game, Max Foth said, we're going to go for it on 4th down. They were unable to convert, and that was the question. Did you want to punt it away and play the field position game, or give Hill City the ball back on an unsuccessful 4th down try? And that's what it was. Stanley County couldn't pick it up. Hill City had the ball, needing about a 1st down and maybe a couple more yards to give Logan Street a look at the field goal. However, that penalty on the helmet-to-helmet hit would kind of take a deep sigh of relief for the Buffalo's coaching staff and everybody else in attendance here at Ole Williamson Field wearing Buffalo purple. It felt like that was a huge moment in the game. That penalty, a good call by the officials, was kind of the turning point in that, because had they not had that penalty, they were essentially already in field goal position, could have tried to just run out the clock for Stanley County to use timeouts and kick what would be potentially the game-winning field goal, but none of that happened. Also a big play in this game was the blocked field goal by Stanley County's defense. You take that into account in the position of the game that everybody was in. There was a lot of little plays that I think Stanley County made tonight that were really big in the effort for this win. Now, all things considered, Stanley County certainly has plenty that they have got to clean up before going to Bennett County next week. A couple of errant snaps, some penalties, some fumbles, things of that nature that against teams like Bennett County next week, against teams like Parkston when they come to town, and Platte Geddes and Kimball White, like, you simply can't make, but if you want to get a victory. But none of that is relevant right now. It's celebration time for Stanley County because they are victorious for the first time here in 2026, and what a game it was. Talk about some of the big players that made an impact on this game. It can't go without being said. Mason Bueller, as we mentioned, had to go out with an apparent injury. Towards the end of the first half, Mason Bueller, the starting quarterback, did not take the final 2 drives at quarterback. He lined up as the running back, but it was Colt Eckert taking the snaps at quarterback, and we started to wonder, is there a potential injury to Mason Bueller? Is there a reason that he's not back there taking snaps at quarterback and whipping the ball around the field? Well, it turned out that nagging injury came back to really affect Mason Bueller as he went down, as we mentioned, on that Allen Harvey score. But that was kind of the question. Is Mason Bueller okay enough to throw the ball? And what was interesting enough is Bueller was the quarterback on that option in which he tossed out to Allen Harvey, who took it to the house. That was the play that Bueller ended up being injured and taken out of the game. But there was some questions about Bueller's health towards the end of that first half, and that became somewhat apparent in the second half. Another big injury was to Drew Almer, the offensive lineman, senior captain. 2 big injuries, and we just hope the best for those 2 guys, because those are 2 guys you never want to lose, especially this early on in the season. Some bright spots for Stanley County tonight. On defense, Avon Angel had a huge game, had a couple of big plays, especially there on the last drive. He had 1.5 sacks as they were able to waste away the final 115 with some great defense. But, man, was he big on the defensive side of the football. And, talking with Max Foth this week in our production calls, I said, you know what, Avon, how did he take the news that he was being moved away from center? He said it was so refreshing to hear Avon's viewpoint on this. He said, Coach, just put me where you need me. I just want to play football. And Max Foth, who is, we've seen in years past, given playing time to guys that, 1, love to play the game, but 2, are willing to make big plays in big spots. He gave that opportunity to Avon Angel tonight, and he took the best advantage of that. We also saw some big plays on defensive side of the ball for Jacob Myers, Saith Cronin, and Jace Hand, who all made huge plays defensively tonight. Ryder Roseland, though he won't show up much in the stat department, that interception that Jack Deal reeled in, that was a huge play made and started by the pressure forced by Ryder Roseland. Whit Myers, what can you say about this young man? Carried the ball so effectively tonight. He was a workhorse for Stanley County here this evening. He made some huge runs that really kind of kicked off some big drives for Stanley County. Even when they weren't scoring drives, Whit Myers' runs were massive for the cause of the Buffaloes tonight. Can't say enough about him. And how about Carson Bourne? We mentioned this in the pregame show. Hasn't played legitimate competitive football since 8th grade. Hasn't played at the varsity level until last week against Bond. But, man, the amount of progression you're seeing out of Carson Bourne is absolutely imperative for this team. And he was on the receiving end of the game-winning touchdown. And we don't have a big play of the game sponsor. So if you would like to become the big play of the game sponsor, you could have this moment right here in our post-game show. But the big play of the game tonight came on that final drive offensively for Stanley County when Carson Bourne caught the out route, cut it back towards the middle of the field. He broke 3 separate tackles and was able to bring it in for the game-winning score for Stanley County. That was the big play of the game game tonight. And also, enough can't be said about the guys up front for Stanley County. Jax Hofteaser moving to the center position looked like a perfect fit all evening long. Some things to clean up there, but that's all across the board, and that's all. You never play a perfect football game, but Jax Hofteaser, an instant hit right there at the center position. And how about Kyler Gabriel, the sophomore, coming in and playing that tight end / tackle position? He offered something that Stanley County's been looking for. That's some great protection on the edge, especially in the absence of Jax Hofteaser being out there. Jacob Meyer was huge, as was Saith Cronin on both the offensive and the defensive side of the football. So an all-around team effort and a team win. And Stanley County is going to be thrilled with that. But we do have one segment that we have to get to, and Brian Menning and I were kind of racking our brains. Who's going to get it? Because as we mentioned, there's so many different players that are, that should be on the receiving end of this Player of the Game t-shirt. However, we've only got one. So we'll think on it a little bit more over this 30-second ad. Let's hear a word from our friends who sponsor our Player of the Game at Bauman Lumber.
When you need building supplies, there's no need to go anywhere except Bauman Lumber in Fort Pierre. Bauman Lumber is locally owned and offers quality products, expert advice, free estimates, and free local delivery for large or small projects. Whether it's a home improvement project, remodel job, or all new construction, they even welcome special orders. Quality building materials and affordable prices for residential or commercial projects can be found at Bauman Lumber, 1223 Sail Barn Road in Fort Pierre, or call 223-9762.
And our Bauman Lumber Player of the Game tonight goes to the senior starting quarterback, Bryant Zabe. This kid has dealt with quite a bit over the last couple of days. As we mentioned, Sunday night, had to reach out to Max Foth and say, hey, I got a little bit of an injury to my arm. Luckily for Max Foth, it was to the left arm and not the throwing side. He wore a soft cast tonight, but this is a kid who hadn't started a game at the quarterback position until last week. They call him the Dozer, and he put that on display tonight. So many big runs for Bryant Zabe, including a 1-yard touchdown in the first quarter, a 5-yard touchdown on 4th and 3 in the second quarter, a 13-yard touchdown in the third quarter, and then throwing the game-winning touchdown in the fourth quarter to Carson Bourne. He was also responsible for punching in 2 two-point conversions. Bryant Zabe is our Bauman Lumber Player of the Game tonight. Looking ahead for Hill City, as we mentioned, they'll take on New Underwood next week at home. Stanley County on the road against Bennett County. We're still waiting on that game time to be set, but we'll be with the Buffaloes as they go down to take on the Warriors here on KGFX and streaming that one live on drgnews.com. All around great things for the Buffaloes here tonight as they win it 28-20. Make sure you stay tuned to our local sports page at drgnews.com. We'll get a word from head coach Max Foth on how big this win was for him and his boys here tonight. And, of course, on your way home, the South Dakota Office of Highway Safety reminds you, phone down, eyes up, make it home safely. Well, we could go on for hours, but as we come up on the 10 o'clock hour, we want to give a big thanks to all of our great sponsors for helping us broadcast Stanley County Buffalo football here tonight. Our friends at First Dakota National Bank, Access Health, the Stanley County Booster Club, Fort Pierre Livestock, Dakota Plains Federal Credit Union, and Zander Auto Parts. In the midst, I forgot, we got to look around at some scores around the league here tonight, and I'll keep it quick. I know folks are trying to get back home. At 9 at AA, Scotland Minnow beat Trip Delmont Armor ACDC 38-12. Viborg Hurley edges out Hanson 32-30. Wabash Summit over Florence Henry 42-12. Parkston moves to 2-0 with a 30-6 win over Platte Geddes. Bonham beat Gregory 55-6 as they continue what they hope to be their state championship campaign. Wall looking like they're going to move to 2-0, lead Deadwood 36-0 with 9 minutes left in the fourth quarter. Stanley County's opponent next week, Bennett County, beat New Underwood 42-6, and Hamlin beating Britton Hecla 34-22. Sully Buttes gets the win over Kimball White Lake. How big of a victory is that for the Chargers? 26-22, the final score. Low scoring defensive bout between Warner and North Central. Warner getting the win 17-6. Phillip over Hardin County 34-12. Castlewood beat Howard 14-8 over on KPLO. Lyman was victorious 27-8. Ipswich run ruled Redfield 50-0 the final score there. Centerville over Elkton Lake Benton 38-28. Harriet Selby area in a good one beat Lemon McIntosh 22-19 over on KMLO tonight. What a thriller that one was. Up in the 11A and 11AA area from 11A, Douglas leading Custer 36-22. Del Rapids over Madison 15-14 the final score. Sioux Falls Christian beats Lennox 38-20. In 11AA, T area barely beats Huron 35-32. Mitchell with the win over Brookings 28-13 rather. Yankton going to move on to win over Aberdeen Central 41-11 with 5 minutes left in the fourth quarter. Watertown beats Spearfish 26-20. In 11 AAA, Sioux Falls Roosevelt over Rapid City Stevens 47-14. Washington over Rapid City Central 28-0. 35-21 the score as O'Gorman leads Sioux Falls Lincoln as they are late in the third quarter. Good one cooking there. And don't forget, folks, we've got Pierre Governor football tomorrow night on River 92.7. Coverage begins at 4:25 with Brian Oakland, and it should be myself on the color commentary. And a kickoff at 5. Before that, some Pierre Governor volleyball. Stanley County's got some volleyballs. They've got a triangular tomorrow, and we've got some USD Coyote football on the KGFX airwaves tomorrow afternoon as they take on Central Connecticut State. 1 o'clock kick. Coverage begins at 12 o'clock noon. All around great win for the Stanley County Buffaloes, who moved to 1-1 on the season tonight. Bryant Xavier, player of the game, 3 touchdowns on the ground, 1 through the air, and 2 two-point conversions as the Stanley Counties look past some mistakes and get the win. 28-20 again, our final on the Wegner Auto scoreboard. For Haley Hansen back in the KGFX studios, for Brian Menning on the camera, I'm Justin Cowart, thanking you for listening to tonight's coverage of Stanley County football. We'll be back with more Buffalo football next Friday night when they take on Bennett County on the road on KGFX and streaming live on drgnews.com. Have a great Friday night and a great weekend, everybody.